What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and funny stuff every Friday. I'm Andrea Renee, joined by Miss Christine Steimer.
It's me. I'm here. I'm eating a chocolate.
You are eating a chocolate. And Miss Brittany Braubacher is also here.
Me. We should do the whole podcast like this.
People would tune out immediately. And we would have so many one-star reviews.
Yeah.
Oh, no, we don't need any more one-star reviews plaguing our lives.
Please no.
I wouldn't blame them, though. I'd be annoyed as fuck.
Listen, I'm with you.
True.
Whether it's your first episode or your 145th episode, we are so glad
Wow.
that you guys are joining us here at What's Good Games. It's been an exciting week.
Has it?
It's only Wednesday.
Oh, God.
It's been a weird
No, it's been a very
loop.
fun week. I'll talk more about it next segment, kind of.
Yeah, so Brittany's been traveling, as you may have seen on social media. She has been flying. So we were just in Las Vegas last week for the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences annual summit, the DICE Summit, which, by the way, stands for Design, Innovate, Create, and Entertain. Maybe you didn't know that.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Somebody asked me at work, and I was like, I don't know.
They're like, is it gambling? And you should say, no, it's not.
I mean, if it's in Vegas, it's DICE, it's a thing.
No, I understand, like, the, correlation. But
Yeah.
that's not what DICE is about.
Correlation, not causation.
Correct. We had some great conversations with a bunch of people, and Brittany and I were on stage, which we're going to talk about in just a moment. But before we get to that, Brittany, we have quite a few announcements to get to.
We do. I guess that's you pitching it to me. All right. So,
Do you want me to do the
There's that
announcement?
no,
softball
I got
pitch.
this. It's been a
Pick
long
it
day,
up,
ladies
girl,
and
and
gentlemen,
run
but
with
we were
it.
having a good time. We listened to Thunderstruck before we started shooting this episode. We
Yes,
had
we
some
did.
Red Bull. We're ready to go. All
I
right.
did
So
not
PAX
have Red Bull.
East.
Red Bull is disgusting.
I had Red Bull. I kind of regret it, kind of don't. Okay, so PAX East is next week, which is mind-boggling. So our PAX East panel is Saturday, February 29th at 5 p.m. at the Bobcat Theater. Unfortunately, it will not be live streamed, but we are going to do our best to record it and publish it for you the week after, so you can hear about all of the shenanigans.
We have some help. One at Pixel Brave is going to be there assisting us recording the podcast.
Nice.
Thank you.
Christian, you're the
Your
best.
assistance
It
is
took
very
us
appreciated.
2 years to get to this point, but we did it.
Everything takes time.
It does.
True.
And then we have our PAX East meetup Friday, February 28th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Lucky's Lounge at Sinatra Room. I believe it is all ages until 9
Blue
p.m.
eyes.
It is all ages, yes. So you don't need a PAX badge to attend. So if you didn't buy one and you're in the Boston area, you can just come on down. You also don't need to be 21 or over to attend. You can come by and say hi as well.
It'll be great. And then we have our PAX Patreon streams at PAX East Friday, the 28th of February from 12 to 2 Eastern. If you are a patron, you can go to patreon.com/watchgoodgames. Watch Good Games. And those links are all there, ready for your eyeballs.
So this is the first time we've ever done a stream from the PAX pods. And so they reached out to us and they're like, hey, we have this pods. Are you interested in streaming? And we're like, actually, normally we'd say no, but this time, why not?
Because we've had a busy month, and it's been hard to get together to do the streams.
February has been challenging. February is always the shortest month of the year, but this year in particular, with the way that some of our internal travel has lined up, it hasn't been great.
It's technically a longer February than normal.
It is.
You are not incorrect. It is a leap year, ladies and gentlemen. There are 366 days
That
this
means,
year.
apparently, according to that movie, you should go ask a man to marry you. Just anyone.
What?
I don't know.
Alright.
I think that was that movie.
Yeah.
But the PAX pods are generally for single streamers, and we ask them, can 3 people stream in the PAX pods? And they're like, we'll make it work.
Oh, it can be
So
real
if
cozy.
you think that we have technical problems on a normal basis, just steel yourself that there may be things that go wrong.
Main problem would be the space, but we are also cozy together. I don't think it matters.
We are.
Yeah.
For me, I'm like, I need to know about lights, microphones, cameras, all that.
I thought you said
pizzazz.
something about Bud Light for a minute, so I was
Oh,
Would
wow.
you like some Bud Light?
No,
No, right?
I've got my wine. I'm
Yeah.
good.
Who wants Bud Light?
I would think about
Somebody
Light.
probably
Do you, though?
somewhere.
Not right now, but like, because I'd burp the whole time on the show, but I could go for Bud Light. It's nice.
Nice,
Crisp,
refreshing,
refreshing.
crisp lager. Indeed. So if you guys are going to be in Boston and you're not afraid of the coronavirus, come on down. It's going to be great. We're going to talk about that story in just a little bit. But before we get to that, we want to say thank you to this month's Patreon producers, Chewy's godson, Alex Rogopoulos, who we just saw at DICE, which we'll talk about in a second. Daniel Hull, Ferris Atay, Muhammad, Marcus Brown, Daniel Hull, and Punctified. Why is Daniel Hull's name in there twice again?
I know, because I haven't
what?
changed it.
He's,
So here's the thing.
so nicely
Real
listed
talk.
him twice.
I haven't changed it, but I'm going to pivot. Is like, Andrew, I was trying to trick you because last week you said the same exact thing. Also,
Wait.
Punctified was at DICE. Nice seeing you, sir.
Yes, it was so good to see you.
Are you eating chocolate on the show?
You know what? It's so good. It's so good.
So
oh my
while-
God. This bozo? Oh, we're going to talk about him. in
Oh,
a
wait,
minute.
when did he come on board? Okay, so we have new patrons to our Patreon community. We have Kevin Komaki, we have Dash, we have Nick Han, we have Lumi Morales.
That's a cool name.
That is a good name. Steve Smith, Marooned at Noon. Marooned at Noon. Thank you, Steimer. Thank you. Thank you.
There are zeros in there. It looks weird. I understand why she was confused.
I appreciate that. Steve Toby, Rebecca, Hannah Sandler, Chelsea Williams Yaw, Amy Alexander, Hans 10, Kate, Nathaniel Schoen, Kristen Kelly, James, and Greg Miller. Is that Greg Miller?
So
That
it's
Greg
interesting.
Miller.
I wrote, yes, that Greg Miller in parentheses, because when the Patreon notification came in, because we get email notifications every time somebody subscribes to the Patreon, which BT dubs, every time you sign up, we all see it. I saw it come in, and I didn't recognize the email address at first. And obviously, Greg, I'm not going to out your email address.
It was.
Because we're friends. But I hadn't seen this email address in quite some time. So I was like, wait, is that really Greg's email address? Or is that someone posing as Greg? Because let's be honest, there are plenty of people posing as
That's
Greg.
a very
on the
common
internet.
name, Greg Miller, too.
And so I went to my email inbox and searched it, and then sure enough, it popped up. So we had we had an email from like 5 or 6 years ago with that address, and I was like, thanks, Greg. It's nice to see you support us. Even though we've just been supporting Kind of Funny, since the beginning. But it's okay.
I built that thing on my back. I'm just kidding. Everybody relax.
I'm really sad, though. We didn't get anyone new who fights you on pineapple on pizza.
Oh, did you think that the
I want
the
the
war was going to continue?
I want the war. So if you want to tell Andrea whether or not pineapple belongs on pizza, you
It
can
does.
subscribe to our Patreon for only $2 and get your word in.
It's true. We do thank everybody who signed up. We love that you guys are part of everything that we're doing at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. In fact, we had a very fun and top secret shoot with Patreon this week.
Yeah.
We did.
It is the reason we're all a little exhausted right now.
Reason for the season of tired.
It was
Yes.
really fun. It was a great experience.
And we have some really cool behind the scenes photos and videos that we can show you eventually, but not just anywhere, only at patreon.com/whatsgoodgames. And hopefully we'll be able to share with you the project that we shot with them publicly once they, of course, make it public. But that's all we can say for now. So, continuing on, Brittany, we've got a whole slew of new podcast reviewers.
Yeah, and they all left really, really nice 5-star reviews. Ladies, I'd say if you're ever feeling a little down in the dumps, pop on in, look at these reviews. They're a real mood booster.
You guys do so much to make us feel so good, and the support that you guys give us by leaving these reviews means so much to us. And every time I go in and read them, I'm like, oh man, it's all worth it. They like us.
Yeah. So I guess I'm gonna read these now.
Yeah, we've decided
Ducky.
you're the best at reading
yeah.
people's screen
Am
names.
I don't know.
You are
Ducky
now.
348, Nihilism
Ooh,
8268.
see, I would have fucked that up.
Tavo 1993, Jay Curtis 89, Hero Side 007. This is spelled incorrectly, but I feel like it should be respectable llama.
No,
So we did this last week where we read respectable or
replicable,
replicable
and we
llama.
stumbled, and they left a new review and told us it's supposed to be reactable llama.
Oh, that's not even close. I don't know why you're doing that.
Typos
Why
happen.
would there be a P in there? Okay, anyways. Saldana 101.
tried.
Zachary A. Scrappy 702. Diamond Donut. Ooh, donuts. PFC. Okay. Cat.
No,
Wait, what?
okay. So then this person also left a review saying this is how you say my name.
PFC.
Oh, cat.
OCAT.
Yep.
Nathan Eldinger. CC Latino and Hufflepuffer.
Hufflepuffer!
You know they left a nice review because they're the nicest house.
It's true. Even I get that.
Hufflepuffs
reference.
are really nice.
Yeah.
Even though I'm Team Gryffindor all the way. But thank you very much to everybody for supporting the show. We love you and you're the best. So now let's get into the news. But before we do that, I have to tell you it's brought to you by MeUndies. So ladies, imagine your 5th grade self looking into the future and learning that as an adult, you got an Undies membership. Did you ever call Undies undies? Yeah, we did, right, as kids?
I think I just called them underwear.
Panties.
Panties.
Nah, panties.
No, that was a word that people were very divided on.
Yeah.
I think I just said underwear, but honestly, it's been so long, I do
I feel
not
like
remember.
undies is the thing that the school bully talked to you about.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
give you a wedgie.
Pull up
No
your
one ever
undies.
gave me a wedgie.
But what
I'll
we're
give you a
really
wedgie.
talking about
Yeah.
today is not your horrific 5th grade bully memories, but instead we're talking about MeUndies and their super soft underwear and their fun, flexible membership. John Drake's 2 words. The 2 F words that he always likes to bring up, fun and flexible. Whenever stuff gets stressed, he's like, listen, today, there's only going to be 2 F words today. It's going to be fun and flexible. And it always diffuses tense situations. And I'm like, John Drake, this is why you're
I feel
the best.
motivated.
Yeah. So if you guys choose to sign up for MeUndies Fun and Flexible membership, you're going to get perks like site-wide savings, free shipping, and new undies delivered to your door each month. Go forth, be an adult, and sign up for that undies membership. Even your past self is laughing at you. Even if your past self is laughing at you, is maybe what I was supposed to say. Listen,
Close
we've
enough.
talked about MeUndies on the show many times. We all love our MeUndies products. I'm particularly a fan of the new Freeform ladies underwear products that they have.
Yeah, those are really nice.
They're super fun. And then the new prints that they're coming out with for spring, they just did this Valentine's Day activation, the match your bottom half to your better half, and was really adorable. And of course, we're all big fans of the onesies over at MeUndies. So there's something for everybody. They also have a bunch of new products. They have a new jogger. They have like a new long sleeve shirt, and
I
they
like
have
joggers.
they have a whole new line of loungewear if you guys haven't been over to MeUndies in a while. And it's a great gift, too, if you have somebody in your life that has, like, a birthday or something. And so I gifted John a underwear membership, for his birthday, I think, last year or something. We just recently changed the style because he used to be a boxer briefs guy, and now he switched over to their traditional boxer brief and decided he likes it. He likes the boxer
You
better.
never know. I got Jason
know?
some loungewear for Christmas.
Oh,
That's all he
very
wears
nice.
now.
I
You
just
really need to
buy
watch those
myself
here.
things because
As you
I'm a
should.
single woman.
Listen,
Fuck
I've
yeah.
maybe opened multiple accounts to get advantage of our discount.
It feels so good against your body.
Yes, it does. Yes. So you guys have probably heard, speaking of feels so good against your body, that they're the softest undies to ever grace your nethers. That's because they're made with micromodal. Now, what the heck is that, you may be asking? Well, it's a magical, sustainable, soft as heck fabric made from trees. Yes, trees, you guys, that makes your bits feel like they're floating on a cloud. They're designed to be the softest thing you've ever put on your body and offered in a range of sizes from extra small to 4XL. Now, MeUndies doesn't just make undies, as we've been talking about. We love their loungewear, which has recently had a glow up. Check out their new line of stylish micromodal loungewear that you can wear in and out of the house. Plus, they know that they're on every podcast, which you guys know.
Yep.
But just because they're looking for true undie domination doesn't mean that you should not buy them, because they're not going to stop until you try them.
True. Before they ever paid us,
It's true.
I spent a lot of money on MeUndies.
I remember the day that the email came in that was like, MeUndies wants to work with What's Good Games. Steimer was like, I love
Heck
MeUndies.
yes, a brand I
Yeah.
already paid for.
I was like, oh my god, it's just underwear. What's the big deal? But I have been converted.
Yes, and I really love the prints. They're
Yeah.
super fun.
If you guys want to be converted and find fun prints, you have got to take advantage of our special offer. For any first-time purchases, you will get 15% off plus free shipping. That's a no-brainer, you guys, especially because they have a 100% satisfaction guarantee. To get your 15% off your first pair, free shipping, and a 100% satisfaction guarantee, go to meundies.com/WGG. That's MEUNDIES.com/WGG. meundies.com/WGG. So last week, Brittany and I were at DICE, as we mentioned just mere moments ago. And you may have noticed that they gave out the annual DICE Awards. So what's interesting and different about the DICE Awards versus the Game Awards, which people are maybe more familiar with, is that the Academy of Interactive Arts and Sciences is run by a group of professionals that work in the video games industry. So it's all peer nominated, peer judged, and peer voted. Unlike the Game Awards, which is nominated and judged by people like us, members of the media and content creators. So very different pool of people judging. Mm-hmm. And when we first announced the nominees, it was clear that even just from the nominees, it was a different pool of people who were looking at these games. And boy, oh boy, was I not prepared for the selection of winners that happened at the DICE Awards. So Kotaku wrote up a little article about kind of synopsing what happened last week. So they write, a short but delightful game about a rambunctious waterfowl took home the top honors at the DICE Awards, joining games like Overwatch, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Fallout 4 in the pantheon of Game of the Year award winners. Meanwhile, Remedy's Control snagged 4 awards of its own. Untitled Goose Game waddled away with 3 awards during the annual Design, Innovate, Create, and Entertain show. Along with the justly deserved Game of the Year, developer House was also awarded Outstanding Achievement for an Independent Game, Outstanding Achievement in Character. Remedy's Control, while they did not win Game of the Year, it won just about everything else. Outstanding Achievement in Game Direction, Action Game of the Year, Outstanding Achievement in Original Music Composition, and Outstanding Achievement in Art Direction. So if you guys want to look at the full list of winners over at the DICE Awards, of course, you can go to interactive.org, the DICE website, or you can also go to this Kotaku article that we referenced at kotaku.com. But Brittany, we presented an award for Online Game of the Year.
It was so nice. Thank you. It was really fun. Yeah, we kind of found out super last minute that we were going to be presenting an award.
Yes.
So we had a fun little shopping trip in Las Vegas.
It was. So traditionally, the awards at DICE are presented by developers because they're voted on, nominated, and judged by developers. But unfortunately, there was a couple of people that couldn't travel due to various reasons. And so we were asked by the production team at DICE if we could step in. And we were like, wait, us? Are you talking to us? Yes, of course. We would love to. Yeah. This calls for Sparkles.
Sparkles we delivered.
Yeah,
I liked our little costume. Oh, thank you. It was really fun. No, it was a really good time. It was a lot of fun up there. I like that we kind of had the freedom to be ourselves. Obviously, we followed the scripts as we were supposed to, but we were also able to insert a little bit of like Britt and Andreaisms, which was really great.
Yes. Well, we didn't want to derail the show too much because
like we do on our show.
It's true. DICE prides itself on being a very fast-paced, trim show. They don't have a lot of the bells and whistles that the Game Awards has because they are very much servicing a different audience. That said, it was a really great moment, and the Online Game of the Year category was stacked with a lot of really fantastic games. Clearly, I was gunning for Destiny because I've been a long-time Destiny fan, and I think the things that they're doing from a design perspective, specifically with online multiplayer, are top tier in this industry. But also, Apex has had a banner year. To think that this game has been out for so few months and that they were able to create this like zeitgeist around everything that they were doing, like hats off to Respawn and Vince and his entire team. And it was a really nice moment to be able to hand that to Vince after having, worked with him at EA Play and kind of seen everything. And then, of course, coming on the heels of his announcement, opening DICE LA. So it was very cool.
Yeah, the other nominees were Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Destiny 2, Tetris 99, and Wargroove. That was it was a really good feeling. I've never presented an award like that before, and it was awesome to read Apex Legends and then hear that whole table go, whoa, because I think they were pretty close to the stage. Yeah. It was just like, oh, you guys did it. Here's the thing. I don't know. It was a really cool moment.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah. It was fun. If you guys want to watch the archive, you can, of course, catch that on IGN.com or on IGN's YouTube channel, or you can find all of the winners over at interactive.org. All right. Moving on.
Yeah.
Sony backs out of it.
Goose.
Wait, what's happening?
No. Go ahead.
Sony backs out of PAX East over coronavirus concerns. This also comes from Kotaku.com. PlayStation is pulling out of PAX East. That's what she said. Due to increasing concerns related to the illness colloquially known as the coronavirus, it said on the PlayStation blog this week. Sony's booth was slated to feature major upcoming games like The Last of Us Part 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, and Doom Eternal. The show, which has drawn over 70,000 attendees in the past, takes place in Boston from February 27th to March 1st. The news comes 2 weeks after a man living in Boston was found to have the illness after returning home from Wuhan, China, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. Quote, "We felt this was the safest option as the situation is changing daily," Sony wrote in the post. "We are disappointed to cancel our participation in the event, but the health and safety of our global workforce is our highest concern, period." And then they wrote an update to the article saying, this was the response from ReedPop, the PAX organization that puts on the conference. "While we are saddened that Sony will no longer have a presence at PAX East 2020, we look forward to welcoming our friends at Sony to future PAX events and are focused on making PAX East 2020 a successful and enjoyable event for all attendees and exhibitors," said Kyle Marsden-Kish, the show's event director. "PAX East 2020 will take place as scheduled with enhanced cleaning and sanitation across the show." So that means there'll be like little squirt stations all over the place.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Including adhering to the recommendations set forth in the U.S.'s EPA emerging pathogen policy regarding cleaning disinfectants effective against COVID-19 virus. Marsden-Kish said that more information is available on the PAX East website.
Dang.
Yep.
I mean, just dang. This just sucks all around, right?
I was flabbergasted at this news. I think the first part of me was like, whoa, what the fuck? How could they do this? I almost feel like I went through like the stages of grief.
Okay, yeah.
Like going through this, I was like in denial. I was angry. I was sad. And then like I haven't yet got to acceptance, but I'll get there. And so I read this and I was just like, so I got into it with some people on Twitter to be like, listen, I am not for 1 second saying that the coronavirus isn't a dangerous virus that you should absolutely be cautious of. Mm-hmm. But to say that there was a single case that was diagnosed a couple of weeks ago, so clearly like CDC came in and like clamped shit down.
They were like, you are in quarantine, son.
But like this idea that they would remove themselves from the show, because I can't keep saying pull out.
Please do.
Literally 7 days, 8 days.
7 days.
Before it was exactly 7 days, right?
It's the Ring reference.
Before the show is like,
does that mean we all
it's
die?
mind-boggling to me the sheer amount of money that Sony is losing by withdrawing from the show cannot be understated. Like, I mean, we're talking millions of dollars that they've just like swept under the rug.
Yeah.
They put it in a pile and lit it on fire.
That's
we're
what
like,
you can do.
goodbye.
Someday we'll be at that point, Andrea.
Weeks, if not months worth of work from multiple teams. And the real ripple effects that maybe people don't understand is not only are consumers upset and mad that they can't play The Last of Us, which is like, let's be honest, was the big draw here, but the developers that were going to be featured in PlayStation's booth that no longer will have that foot traffic of those eyeballs, the gamers getting the opportunity to play their games that really needed it, some of the smaller games.
Not only that, I wonder how the show floor is going to feel, because there's going to be a giant, vacant space? Like, there was... It's just crazy to me that they pull out... Oh, God. This late. Because... Oh, God. I can't now.
Just don't keep going. You're on a roll.
But then I was like, whatever. Because as somebody else mentioned on Twitter today, like, this case was reported a couple weeks ago. So, like, if they had wanted to... I would maybe understand it more if it was like, okay, a couple weeks ago we heard about one person, and then maybe a week ago they heard about another person, and then maybe like if it had seemed like it was escalating, I could maybe understand it a little bit more. But this kind of feels like maybe they just now realized that somebody had the virus, and they were like, well, if one person in the city of Boston has it, we should just not go.
It's wild. And like, I had made these comparisons to people really panicking about the virus, but not panicking about the fact that there are, more than 20 cases of influenza that have been reported in the city of Boston. And no, that doesn't seem like it stopped people from going to PAX before when there have been reported cases of influenza or the diseases. And I'm not comparing the diseases head to head. Like,
that's what I was going to bring up.
Let's be clear.
Yeah.
Because people got after me on Twitter being like, you're not a doctor. You should be giving medical advice. I'm like, I'm not giving medical advice. I'm saying if you're scared about the virus, don't be scared. Go learn about it. Here's all of these resources at the World Health Organization in the Center for Disease Control.
Yeah.
That was my point.
And then you get people who are saying China's like, you got a lot of weird people in your replies, and so
You mean like conspiracy theorists?
yeah, there we go.
Oh, great.
Shocker.
Yeah, no, I don't know enough about it to like speak, because people are saying it's 2 times as deadly as a flu. I don't know, and I'm not gonna pretend to know. It's
Well, there's a lot of those statistics that they're literally making up on the fly
because they don't
it's
have
so
enough
new,
data,
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
they're still fighting it. They're still combating it.
yeah. I mean, it's like, but you can't. At the end of the day, like I can't be mad at Sony for prioritizing their employees. I mean, if that's what they're saying, I know a lot of people were quick to say, "Oh, it's just an excuse. Oh, it's just a cover up." But it's hard to imagine they would do that if they're leaving millions of dollars behind in months and months of work. Why would you do that? So it's like, hey, if you're putting your employees first, if you're legitimately worried about this, it sucks for the fans, especially all those people who want to go to PAX specifically to play these games, who are making the trip to Boston and who wanted to stand in line for however long they did. Like, that's what they were going there for, right? It was for that specific thing. But obviously, PAX badges are non-refundable, so now they're very upset.
Here's the thing, though.
But
Yeah,
again, if you aren't putting your employees first, like, I can't be mad at you.
I am not. This is gonna come across very badly.
It's fine. It's fine.
very
No,
sad.
it's fine.
I'm
We
sorry.
got your back.
We got your back.
Um,
Yeah.
Have they never heard of the PAX plague? Like, people are going to get sick at this thing.
Yeah,
Like,
I got so
and there's
sick from
so
that.
many germs at PAX regardless, which so I
Right.
kind of understand. Maybe they're like, this is just a petri dish, and it's asking for
It is a
trouble.
freaking petri dish.
But
dish.
but also just like, then just never go to any con, because any con will have all sorts of gross diseases and people that are there all the time, and your employees are never going to be shielded from. And I'm just talking about disease in general, not
Right.
coronavirus specifically, but there will always be something there because there's just so many people and they're all touching all your shit. And like, if you're not constantly spraying that down with Lysol,
Constantly.
then yes, they're going to be exposed to germs. And that's
I
why
mean, the
so many
PAX
people
plague
come
is a
back.
known thing.
So many people come back from PAX and they're like, I am deathly ill. And
Yeah,
you're
I'm
like,
I got the PAX flu, the PAX plague. I think where the concern is coming in, and maybe this is part, I don't know enough about this virus, so I'm not going to speculate, but it's everyone, if you watch the media, it's doom and gloom.
It
Everyone's
feels like
dying.
bird flu again.
Everyone's getting sick. So it's so
Do you-
unknown.
Right, but I think that's the problem is that
People
like
aren't educating themselves on who it is that it's affecting, how what's the age range of these people, like how are they dying? But it's
like these respiratory diseases always affect the same group. People with autoimmune deficiencies,
Uh-oh.
the very young people, and the very old people that have weakened immune systems. So somebody in my Twitter feed, like, blessedly was like, oh, I'm sorry, do you know somebody that has died from Ebola?
No.
Do you even know somebody that has ever contracted Ebola?
No.
That was
Did
a big
report on
fucking deal,
Ebola.
wasn't it? Do you know about somebody who ever got H1N1? Did they die from H1N1? Cool.
I thought I was dying, but no, did not die.
You had it?
Oh, I got it.
Oh, God.
It was the sickest I've ever been.
Also, influenza B, been there. It was like, I thought I was dying, but survived. Survived.
I lived.
I was sick for like 10 days, but I made it through. Thanks, Tamiflu. That's a rhyme. Good job. Made it through.
That's a
thanks to
jingle.
Tamiflu.
I believe it's a jingle. Marketing jingle.
That was right when Tamiflu came on the market, too. 2006. That was a long fucking time ago.
Wow. Yeah, it was.
So my point here is not to downplay the severity of coronavirus.
Correct. Yeah,
all right?
obviously it's-
Before you get your panties in a bunch and you're listening, being like, well, Andrea, you're not a doctor. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Can I say
But
it
my
again
sister
for the
is.
people in the back? I'm not a
None of us here are doctors. I just know one.
I just play one on TV.
I don't play one on
Genetically
TV.
connected to me.
Ew.
That's all I know.
So here's the thing. I think this is a gigantic mistake. I cannot fathom or comprehend why Sony decided to do this. And that's okay. I don't need to understand. I am frustrated on behalf of all of our fans and everybody else who was very excited to go play the games that were going to be featured in PlayStation's booth. I'm also very disappointed and sad for all of the developers who had planned and now probably don't have time to make other arrangements to show their game in a different setting because now they have to get their own tech, their own TVs, their own stations, their own computers, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and like they probably can afford it.
Right? And so like the whole thing just feels like a giant like what the fuck moment to me.
Unless
Unless,
twist.
dun,
Oh.
dun, dun.
we all get the coronavirus at PAX and they were the smartest
And they're the
ones.
smart ones sitting pretty while we're all like,
They were
yeah.
like, ha ha.
we told you.
And we're like, oh shit, why are you laughing at us? We're all very sick.
And if you are truly concerned for your health and safety at PAX,
Don't
that's
go.
totally okay. Well, I mean,
I would say don't go.
I would say go. I would say just take precautions. Get a respirator mask, not just like one of those weird hot,
don't
like
just get-
surgical
you have to
masks.
get,
You
like,
have to
a
get a
good
respirator
one.
mask.
Yeah.
purchase one that's great and actually does its job, and make sure that you are not hugging people, that you're washing your hands, and you're just taking care of yourself. These are just basic practices
Everyone
during flu
at our
season.
meet and greet, I'm sorry, I'm gonna be like, I'm not shaking your hand.
Should we just do a fist bump policy at the meet and greet?
we should.
Okay, I'm down with that. So everybody listening that's planning to come to Boston, we're going to do a fist bump policy at PAX. Everyone bumps fists because the outside of your knuckles are pretty safe.
Should be safe.
Yeah.
Just stop licking your hands, Brittany, and we'll be okay.
I'm a cat, Andrew. I can't help it.
If you're not watching it, youtube.com/what'sgoodgames. Maybe now's the time.
Quality content.
Anyway, I don't want to dig in this
Belabor
too
the
much.
point.
Correct. I'm disappointed. I'm upset. I think that coronavirus 100% is a serious thing that we should be cautious of, be mindful of, and monitor. I posted a very informative and handy video that the World Health Organization made about what coronavirus is, where it came from, how it spreads, and what you can do about it. It's like a 3-minute video. You can find it in my Twitter feed, but you can also just Google coronavirus, what is it, and find a bevy of options. I would just encourage you to make sure that the information you're getting is from a reputable government agency that specializes in contagious diseases. So whether it's the World Health Organization or here in the United States, we have the Center for Disease Control. A number of other countries have their own internal agencies. Just don't go to down some rabbit hole where you're going to get fed false information about how many people are dying and conspiracy theories about the Chinese government purposely planting this virus on their people. I spitted because I was so intense about it.
Oh, I liked it.
Anyway, moving on. You're not going to be able to play The Last of Us Part 2. Wah, wah. I think that what we should do before we get to this final story, since we should end the segment with it, is go to
the In Case You Missed It.
In Case You Missed It. Brittany.
Yo.
Ooh, can I read the next one after
Yes,
her?
you can.
Great.
Okay. So, in case you missed it, an Animal Crossing Direct is taking place Thursday, February 29th at 6 a.m. Pacific. That was yesterday.
Wait, 29th or 19th? Wait.
Oh, I fucked that up. 20th.
I was like, yeah, that's not correct.
Okay, let's start that over.
What year is it?
I don't know. I don't even know where we are. An Animal Crossing Direct is taking place Thursday, February 20th at 6 a.m. Pacific. That was yesterday. It'll be 25 minutes and will feature an in-depth look at Nook Inc.'s Deserted Island Getaway Package. Woo. I do have an official Joey Noelle statement because I reached out to her. I'm like, I do not know a bigger fan than you.
I'm so excited.
I was like, tell me all of the things. Okay. I don't know. I don't have a Joey voice, so I'll just say it in my normal voice. Oh my God, I'm very excited about tomorrow. I hope we get to see more of the crafting we'll be able to do in the game and maybe some new villagers and 2 eye emojis. Also interested in seeing how Nook Miles are integrated as secondary currency.
Ooh.
A little bummed Pocket Camp won't have any connection to New Horizons, but I'm so excited to see the tropical vibe and customizations and maybe some new furniture lines.
Can we get a count on how many O's that was?
Okay, how many O's do you think that was?
7.
That looks like more like 10.
There was 9.
Oh, shit. Oh, wow, that's close.
Yeah. 9 O's.
So wait, do I price this right?
Oh,
Will
no.
I win? Lowest without going over.
You know, we didn't know. I don't want to ruin friendships here.
We didn't have rules.
It's
true.
Okay.
Okay.
So
you win,
Joey's
Simon.
very excited about crafting tropical things and new villagers and Nook Inc. Did you say Nook Inc?
Nook Inc. Do we have to say it like that?
Nook Miles, excuse me. Yeah, Steimer, I know you are looking forward to this game.
I am. I'm not an Animal Crossing fan in the sense that I actually haven't played any before, but I'm fucking stoked about this because it seems like a game that I would really like. I just have I haven't owned a lot of Nintendo platforms in the past.
Like you were a handheld Vita person.
I did have a Vita.
Wait,
yeah.
You had the PSP and the Vita, right?
I did. Yeah, so I tended to have more Sony handhelds versus Nintendo ones, and except for obviously OG Game Boy, clearly. Mm-hmm. But I'm so excited about this because I'm like, yeah, I wanted to run around. I want to just fucking catch butterflies, sell them to this guy
Shake
who's
trees,
really just
build
my
houses.
Overlord. No, Tom Nook is a terrible, terrible creature.
Is he? What animal?
He's basically a slumlord. He's the raccoon.
Okay, but I saw a picture where he says he dedicates most of his money to charities.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Oh, okay, I don't know.
No, Tom, you are the charity, basically.
Wait, what?
He's like,
he's a raccoon,
you
right?
are forever. I've given you this house, but by the way, you owe me all of this money.
Tom
and
Nook
then
charity.
you are, and then it's like, but you can. It's just like you're forever in debt to Tom Nook. Is kind of the whole thing of the game.
Yeah. Okay, here, wait.
I see it. So Tom Nook is the little raccoon guy.
Yes. Everyone hates Tom Nook. That should be a name of a story.
Okay, I can't find anything. Anyway, so the other thing I thought was interesting about Animal Crossing.
I love that I found this random photo, you guys, of Tom Nook in a bathtub full of money, and it
Yes.
says, "Why Animal Crossing's Tom Nook is an evil capitalist villain."
Yes. This is the Tom Nook stuff I'm here for.
Yeah, educate us on the Tom Nook. So I thought this was kind of a little interesting tidbit. So Nintendo's Nintendoing, and they're kind of borking the saving system for Animal Crossing New Horizons. So Animal Crossing New Horizons isn't supported by Nintendo Switch Online Save Data Cloud Backup. However, we are currently considering a function to back up save data uniquely for the software in case one Nintendo Switch console itself gets damaged, lost, or stolen. The use of this feature is limited to Nintendo Switch Online subscribers. The implementation period has yet to be determined, but we'll make an announcement as soon as the decision is made. Then the website also reaffirms that players can only create...
flip the table right now?
No, you can't. It would
No,
hurt.
it's very big.
You'd hurt yourself. The website also reaffirms that players can only create one island per console. For example, if you own 2 Switch consoles, you can't get the island data from one Switch and transfer it to another. So, like, let's say we're all 3 people living under the same roof. We only have one Switch.
Mm-hmm.
If I have Animal Crossing, I can only create one island on
Yes.
the Switch. You guys could not, like, if we were sharing the console, you guys could not create your own world, your own island.
Yeah.
And if Steimer, like, gets mad and she, like, runs away with my Switch, I lose my data because it's not saved in the cloud currently.
Why is this still a thing?
I don't
know.
Why is Nintendo so freaking bad at this?
I don't
don't
know, but you know
know.
what they did real well? Making that Animal Crossing themed Switch. Because
yes,
I want
that's-
it very
Yeah, but
badly.
you can put a skin on your Switch and do the same thing.
It is cute. And the
Wow.
coral one's really nice, too.
You
Have
can
seen the
also
pink one?
put a coral skin on your regular colored Switch and do the
No,
same thing.
No, it is fascinating. I know we've talked about this a lot in the show.
I feel very attacked.
This is
I'm
such...
just not you.
No.
I'm just like,
I know.
listen, I have been playing my Switch. Like, John and I have
We
been
all love
like,
our Switch.
rediscovering
Nintendo's
our
making
love
a-
of Luigi's Mansion 3 because we put it down and now we're back. Brittany,
Girl, I know. They're trying to reinvent the wheel. You don't got it. Or just, like, the wheel works great. Pick
it's
up the wheel.
2020.
I mean-
Why aren't there cloud saves for everything?
I don't know.
I
Or like
think
why
they're-
if I like bought a different Switch, I wouldn't be able to get my like if I started off on my own Switch and was like, you know what, fuck it.
I want
I'm
to
gonna
buy
treat
this
myself. I'm gonna
fancy
buy this
Switch.
fancy Switch.
Yeah, you are, girl.
I have to start all over. And I'm like, and that's the part where I'm like, I need to decide right now if I'm buying this or not because
Yeah.
like that's not a thing I'm going to do.
And I'm not so...
I'm not at that point in my life where I'm willing to do this.
Yeah, I'm not so familiar with Animal Crossing. I know for certain games like Pokemon and is it Smash, maybe they don't have online save functionality because they're worried about people manipulating it for cheating and blah, blah, blah. But
Fucking Animal Crossing.
it's
who
Animal
cares?
Crossing, yeah, and it's that thing that we've talked about so many times on the show. Obviously, we love Nintendo. We love the products they put out. But like they make these weird decisions that if this was anyone else making these decisions, we'd all be like, Andrea would try to flip this table, flipping
I
tables.
mean, it's still Nintendo, and she did try to flip the table.
She did try, but we stopped her. I mean, you could have totally flipped this. Let's be clear.
Look
You're
at how
very
strong I
am.
We're so buff.
Yeah, but it's weird. They do these things, and we're like, well, Nintendo's gonna Nintendo, but I mean, and that's just the reality of it. They're not gonna change. They're not.
No, and like, but
What? You can't tell people don't buy Animal Crossing because they're, you know what? I know what you're saying.
But this has nothing to do with the software, right? Like it has nothing to do with the inherent characteristics of the game as a game. It has to do with platform connectivity.
yeah.
Of course.
And it has to
yeah.
do with functionality from a back-end server infrastructure perspective. And like, to me, it is unacceptable that Nintendo is not caught up to its competition. No one is expecting it to be where PC is, right? Because that's like a large gully for it to get to. But like, if you can't even match what like an Xbox One S is doing, like, what are you even doing right now?
It's Nintendo. They
They're
can get away with
making Animal
it.
Crossing.
And they're making Animal Crossing and Zelda and Mario games.
I just
And
like
Luigi.
it's just so frustrating to me because I listen. And like it's tough because whenever I go on these rants, people are like, "Why does Andrea fucking hate Nintendo?" I go, I don't hate. I don't hate Nintendo.
I have so many feelings about Nintendo.
I love
It's
Nintendo.
hard
I
to
love
describe.
it. It was my first console, and like I have fucking Nintendo art all over my house, and like I love people that work at Nintendo. My thing is like, I just get so frustrated that like we as consumers are told that you're going to pay $300 for this console. You're going to pay $80 for these expensive controllers. You're going to pay this and this and this, and then we're going to handcuff you with these archaic online requirements, and we can't even put fucking voice chat on our console. The fact that the features that were in the 3DS are not 1-to-1 in the Nintendo Switch is mind-boggling to me. Not that long ago, Brittany and I did a little featurette with our friend Victor Lucas over at Electric Playground. It was a couple weeks back. We posted it on Twitter, where he asked us, hey, can you give us some thoughts on the 3DS as Nintendo sunsets this, really innovative console? We said, yes, of course, the 3DS was amazing. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I could actually pull up a fucking internet browser on my 3DS, but I can't on my Nintendo Switch.
I have nothing to say to
No,
this.
it's bizarre.
Backward.
And in a perfect world, I'm sure Nintendo's listening. They say they're incorporating things,
I
blah,
don't know
blah,
that
blah.
they're listening.
But
I'm sorry. I'm a little keyed up, and I went on a little bit more.
no, you're
of a
allowed to do
tear than
that.
I
I
should
love
have.
you
I'm
for
sorry. I'm
your
gonna step back now.
No, I love you for your raw emotions. I'm just bringing some to this conversation. No, it's just the thing where it's like they don't have to do anything. Well, they could make
Sure,
their
you just
Nintendo
don't have
Switch.
to buy it.
They can make. Well, I'm saying Nintendo could make their Switch like part little like horse shit, and people would still buy it, even though they have to touch horse shit every time they pick up the console.
Gross.
But it's
That's
true.
just gross.
It's very gross, but it's very true.
I don't know that that's true.
Oh, absolutely true. I would touch horse shit every day if it meant I could play the next Zelda game.
Whoa,
Or Fire
I
Emblem.
don't know that I
You
would.
Or
took this
Pokemon.
analogy to a
I would
different place.
absolutely.
I am part of the problem, is what I'm saying. I will play the horseshit console, and even though like no one else is making
I
horseshit
wouldn't.
consoles.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
Even if it's Animal
let's
Crossing,
walk
I'd be
this
out.
back.
No,
No
listen,
one
you
is
had
sa-
your moment, Andrea. Let
No.
me have mine.
No one's saying it's horseshit.
No, okay, not
No,
literal
she meant-
horseshit.
I thought you
I
did
said
mean
if
literal.
that's what I'm saying. No, okay. Okay, let me be very clear.
I was like, no, I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm the shark. I'm out. I'm not doing it.
No, I said if Nintendo like put literal horse shit inside their console, we would even because it'd be gross to touch. We would still touch it.
No,
See,
Okay,
you are
no.
talking
Yes,
literally.
I am, but I mean like their console isn't horse
Okay,
shit.
we're off the rails.
Yes. You know what? Fuck it. We're off the
derail
rails.
us.
All I'm
Re-rail
saying is
me.
Nintendo can do anything, and I will buy their shit, and I will play it. There you go, shit
That's
again.
fair.
Let's move on.
Yeah, let's to another fun
Nintendo
topic.
always buy your things.
on that
always.
note, Steimer wanted to read this next one.
I sure do.
Oh
This is
my
about
God,
my
what a
boy.
moment.
my boy Blue.
the-
So, Uncharted movie update. Tom Holland, adorable tiny man, talked about the Uncharted film to IGN. Quote, I think what Uncharted offers that most video game films don't is that it's an origin story to the games. So if you played the games, you haven't seen what's going to happen in the film, Holland said. And if you haven't played the games, you're going to enjoy the film because it's information that everyone else is getting at the same time. But I'm super excited to make that movie, and it's been a long time coming. I read the newest draft of the script on the way over here, and it's one of the best scripts I've ever read. It really, really jumps off the page.
So one of my favorite things to add to these, in case you missed it, segments are the Uncharted updates. I feel like we've been doing this for a while now. We've covered the 6 directors that they've lost.
Yeah.
It's been great. And in other articles, he did say, and I didn't include it in here, my bad, that they plan to start shooting in 4 weeks.
Which I was like, shenanigans. I call shenanigans because how do you start filming a movie without a director tied to the project? What are you going to film? Doesn't someone have to be there being like, I'm making these decisions? If you're not, then what the... You're not going to make a film by committee. What are you doing? Tom Holland, are you the new director of this movie?
Sure.
You can. I mean, you may as well try at this point. This could be your directorial debut.
I mean, it wouldn't be a bad way to go.
It wouldn't.
And then the thing
And
that
this
blew
thing might actually finally get done.
the thing that blew Andrea's mind is that Mark Wahlberg is playing Sully.
Listen, I don't know how I missed this.
I did.
news.
I also missed this news. I was like, mind blown.
I was like, literally, when I read this story about Tom Holland starting shooting in 4 weeks, I was like, wait, they announced Mark Wahlberg as fucking Sully? What's going on?
Yes, that was exactly what
Listen,
happened.
I like
Wahlberg. Wahlberg.
I like
Wahlberg.
Mark Wahlberg a lot, is what I was trying to say.
You did it.
People have mixed feelings about him, which I understand, but I think he's great. And so when I heard this, I was like conflicted because part of me is like, yay.
And part of me is like, oh no.
Part of me is like, he's definitely not old enough to be Sully.
Well, no, because this
Drake.
is young, right?
Yeah.
So like, Sully
Yeah.
would be a lot younger.
Think about the flashback, right? In
It's the
Uncharted 4.
and that's the other part. I'm like, he's like, you haven't seen what's going to happen. I'm like, we did get a flashback. We've had flashbacks of Nathan Drake as a
steal
young
but
shit.
was
child.
Sully in that flashback?
Yes.
Yes. He had the black hair, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
It was a long time ago. It's okay. It's a pass.
Okay,
okay,
I'll pull
it's
up a
on
cut.
YouTube.
I'll pull up a cutscene. I think there's just something about the demeanor of Sully that I don't know if
I actually think he
believe
could. I think
Mark
he could do it.
pulling off.
I think they just.
But I
visually
want
need
him to
make
do it well because I like him, and I know a lot of people think he's shit, but I think he's great.
When I read this, I was like, he thinks it's one of the best scripts he's ever read.
He's read some Spidey scripts too.
Right? That's a big thing. Also, his favorite
But I'm
game's
also
Uncharted 4.
worried. I don't know. I'm worried Tom is just blowing a bunch of smoke up our ass.
Do you
He's
think he would
young
do
and-
that?
Yeah.
Oh.
Or like I think he's just so excited to be working on this thing. Granted, he's also fucking Spider-Man, so like I don't know.
I mean, he's worked on the Avengers, so
he's
I feel
worked on a
like
lot of good projects.
he has a lot to lose if he pumps this script up and it's actual garbage. Because
Yeah,
he
but then
has
I
felt the
also-
vitriol of the nerd fan base, so he knows exactly what's coming his way if this goes south.
Yes and no. I don't know that he's gotten has he gotten a lot of hate for anything that he said?
No, I don't mean necessarily him specifically, but he's certainly seen
been
the
around.
way that the fandom can turn on you very quickly when it comes to like nerd culture properties, right? Like when he's worked with Marvel, obviously, like
Right.
that fan base like either loves you or hates you. You know, I feel like there's like no in between.
Yeah.
And they're very vocal about what they love and hate.
The good news is we have very low expectations for video game films.
Yes. So Tom,
True, the bar
buddy,
is very low.
Yeah, you
Put
can
on
blow
your
this out of the
director
water.
hat.
Do the
then
thing.
go ahead and put
It'll
on
still
your actor hat and
probably
make
be
this
better.
fucking movie because we want to see it at some point before I die. Like,
I mean,
'cause
I would trust Mark Wahlberg to direct it over Tom Holland.
Oh, that's true. He's directed shit.
He has, and he's
That's what I'm like. Okay,
he's actually
you've got
done a pretty decent
you've
job
got
at it.
actors here who can do just get one of them.
Just someone
At
do
this
it.
point, no one wants to direct this movie, which I don't understand. Which is why I'm like, I don't know. I don't get it. I'm like, if
Right, 'cause-
if the script is fucking amazing, wouldn't a director want it?
Wait, hold on. Wasn't the last director, wasn't the rumor, I don't know. The reason they left was because of Tom Holland had to start shooting Spider-Man things. So how could they
It
start?
was a scheduling conflict, wasn't
Right,
it?
that if he's going to start shooting for, I don't know. Stay tuned to the next In Case You Missed
I
on
mean,
What's Good Games.
Yeah, I don't know. Nobody knows whether or not Tom Holland is smoking crack, but
hope
I
not.
guess we will find out.
Yeah, it'll
He's a
happen.
very talented man.
I
He
was
can
looking
dance,
for
does a lot
Mark
of things.
Wahlberg's credits as a director on IMDb, and I see a lot of his producer credits.
Maybe he's a producer, not a director.
Has he actually ever directed anything?
No idea.
Mm.
Don't
Because
keep up
most
with Mark
actors, once
Wahlberg
they
that
reach
much.
a certain stage in their career, get producer credits because it means they make more money on it, which
Yeah.
is not surprising. Get your money.
I feel like Brad Pitt has directed things, or George Clooney. Just get one of them.
Both, maybe.
Possibly.
Maybe neither. Maybe we're just literally
We're just
making
naming
this shit up,
actors
everybody.
at this point, trying to attach a name to
John
this film.
Goodman,
so
he's
that it will
totally
get
been
done.
the director, right?
We're just like, please, for the love of God,
Brittany's
make
like,
the movie.
who's John Goodman?
I know Brad Pitt very well.
Do you know any John Goodman films?
Maybe.
I put her on the spot because she doesn't.
Oh, I'm not going to lie. If you name some films that are popular, big, oh yeah, I've heard of that. But like off the top of my head, can't say anything.
Before we go down this rabbit hole, because this has been a long segment and we have a very special interview I want to get to, we will put a pin in this because it sounds like a fantastic Patreon segment that we should do at some
Has
point.
Brittany seen John Goodman films?
No.
That's what I thought you were
Let's talk about everything Brittany's never seen.
Oh, no. Give me the title of the movie and I'll tell you what I think it's about.
Yes.
That definitely is a segment we should do.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So next month when we're polling for a Patreon
Someone
segment,
submit it.
somebody please remember that this idea came up. It was like make Brittany guess movie plots.
Yes.
It'll be perfect.
I think this was a thing I did once when I was drunk with a bunch of people.
Oh,
that
great.
sounds great.
Yeah.
I feel like this is like a board game waiting to happen.
Yeah.
if it doesn't already exist.
What's the plot of this movie? It's this.
So our last story of the week is a little bit of a contentious / sad one. So you may have seen that over at Polygon.com, there was a feature article about GameStop. The title of the article is called GameStop Employees Report Extreme Pressure from Desperate Bosses. Colin Campbell put this long piece together, and shout out and credit to him for really kind of doing his due diligence and noting these different sections of the story. But we decided we didn't want to just talk about this story in our context. We wanted to reach out to a member of our community who is a former GameStop employee to get his perspective. So we reached out to @EndorphinsSC one Drew Debessonnet. Drew,
Fuck.
wait, let me look it up.
Debessonnet?
Debessonnet,
Oh, that's it.
that's
Yeah. Debessonnet.
It's a very French sounding name that Brittany was like.
It got real
It
throaty.
was perfect. Endorphins is a great member of our community, and we have gotten to meet him at various, kind of funny events and other things in the past. And so I knew that he'd been with GameStop for a while. We had talked about it. Obviously, I was working with GameStop for a number of years at one point, and I wanted to hear from him about what this article meant and kind of his perspective. And it was very different than the picture painted by Colin in this article. Very, I would say, almost opposite of almost every bullet point that Colin mentioned. He was like, my experience was very different. And so I think that's important to kind of see both sides, because clearly a company as large as GameStop is going to have employees with multiple points of view, because it spans not only the United States, which in and of itself is large, but multiple countries around the world as well. So if you guys want to see the article, again, polygon.com is where you can find the GameStop article from Colin, which, you should go and read first. Or you can listen to our fantastic interview that we had with Drew about his experience about the article and kind of like the inner workings of GameStop and where he thinks the company is and where it's going, and kind of his experience with some of these allegations that are in the article. So without further ado, enjoy our interview. What's good, everybody? We are here on set recording another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, but we wanted to take a little break from the show to have a special interview with special guest Drew Debessonnet.
Let me help you.
Wow.
That's
Wow.
That was like, I don't know.
Debessonnet. That was beautiful,
Debessonnet.
Brittany. Thank you.
But Brittany, this is why we love you. Debessonnet. Otherwise known as Endorphins SE. Drew, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thanks so much for having me.
So
Happy to
listen,
be here.
I've heard your voice so many times over chat. Obviously, we've gotten to meet at the Kind of Honey events, and he is a proud member of the What's Good Guardians. But we're here today to talk about this GameStop drama that is once again in the news, because both Drew and I are former GameStop employees. So Drew, thank you again for taking the time to be here. So what did you think when this report broke on Polygon?
So I had the opportunity, I think I tweeted at Colin before he was drafting this, to send something in, but a lot of what I knew he was going to get in submissions doesn't quite fit with what I want to share. So like this opportunity is great, because there's always these articles.
And not to interrupt you, but just to clarify, he's referring to Colin Campbell at Polygon, who wrote this giant review. It's not a review. It's like an expose, essentially. So if you guys do want to read the entire thing, of course, polygon.com is the place to do that. But please continue.
And I can't really hold it against any of the writers who write a lot of these articles. Every now and then someone will write an article that just sounds more attacking physical games and retail in general. So I don't really know those people. But I know Colin, and I interacted with him briefly before he started drafting this. And I respect his work, and I really appreciate that they're writing these and they're reaching out to GameStop employees, former and current employees, to write these. What I want to share is that there's a perspective, the positive store leaders, assistant store leaders, or third keys that are there, the management of a store that you might go to. Everyone's going to have a different experience, and the people that are at your local store may make or break your feelings towards the company. And so I'm on here today to kind of talk to you about how we feel about Circle of Life, the pushing of pre-orders or incentives or promotions on guests, and how we feel that's messaged to us, and how we take that mindset and then deliver it to you. Because when I took over the store, I had been an assistant store leader, and we were a top 10% in the company. We were a low volume store. And when I came to the store to be an assistant store leader, it was with someone I'd worked with before. And I knew coming in, it was like, okay, this store is a work in progress. It's kind of a fixer-upper. We have to work on the selling culture here. And when I say by that, selling culture, I don't mean that we're trying to push things on people. What I mean is, if someone's a fan of a Japanese role-playing game or a visual novel, and they come into our store, what my job is, it's not that I'm forced to hand them a list to reserve a game. It's that I want to talk to them about the games they might like, recommend things they might not have thought to try or play, or that they're even aware is coming out, let them know about it, and then make sure that I'm able to have a copy at my store for them. Because the way that the corporate business model works is, if the game isn't a big blockbuster game like a Call of Duty, they're not going to order or buy from the vendor as many copies of that game as you would, get for, we're going to have a lot of extra of EA games or Activision games.
Well, that's pretty standard, though, across retail in general, right? Is that you
Correct.
order more of the more popular items and less of the ones that aren't as popular.
Exactly. And so a lot of what we want to do is when we're told, like we have metrics and we're going to follow them, we want to get reserves or we want to get trades or we want to get a pro card sign up. The way I treated it was like customer education and information dispensing in a way that was like just your friend talking to you. So me recommending a game to you or recommending you get this pro card, it's sort of, I'm going to give you a scenario where this would help you save money. And it's letting you know, hey, if my family members were going to, buy games, every new $60 release that comes out, here's how I'd have them do it. And here's how I'd recommend for you to do it. And in addition to that, if there's a game that you're not aware of or the game that you're interested in, everywhere is going to have this term like pre-order or reserve, and it's going to mean something different whether it's the PlayStation Store or a retailer. So like some places like will charge before it ships and that's the full amount. Some places are going to charge right away and it's not refundable. And what the GameStop employees that want to give you a good experience when you come into our stores, what we want you to know is that it is only a $5 deposit. It's like you are just putting $5 in our computer system to place hold that game. You can still come into the store, have a good interaction with us, even if it that day may hurt our number, like one number of a reserve. It's you coming into the store and being like, hey, I'm not actually going to get that game. I changed my mind. And we're like, okay. And you can still put that towards any purchase. And in most cases, whatever currency you used is how you're going to get it back. So if you traded in a game for it, you're going to get a gift card, store card.
Right.
If
So
it's
I don't want
cash.
Sorry to interrupt. I don't want to get too in the weeds with like how the business.
That was pretty much the end of my weeds.
Okay. About like how the
Absolutely.
business works. I think really what we want to hear from you and your perspective as somebody who's worked with the company, because like I obviously worked with the company in a very different capacity than you did, and you
Absolutely.
and I have had several conversations about the differences between my experiences and your experiences with GameStop as a company. And I think, just to be clear, I have no ill will towards GameStop. I had nothing but a 100% positive experience working with them. And I was really excited about some of the ideas they had to kind of reinvigorate and, really reinvent their brand. And I think the reason why we really wanted to chat is because this article that Colin wrote paints a much different picture than that. It paints a really desperate picture, a picture of a company that's clearly hemorrhaging money and hemorrhaging sales opportunities and revenue opportunities and saying, how do we hold on? And really, it seems to me from the interviews that he's done at the expense of some of their employees. And we know that we've heard these horror stories from GameStop employees several times over the last decade of saying like, well, this happened here and this happened there. And it's really tough to kind of nail that down as a company philosophy when you have over 4,000 stores in the United States alone. Maybe it's a couple bad actors at the regional level, even a couple bad actors at the city level, let alone going up to, the executives that run the entire strategy. So I think it would be good to maybe address a couple of these specific points that Colin brought up in the article. So one of the quotes.
Absolutely.
So one of the quotes that I have here is from one assistant manager. Obviously, all these people remained anonymous because they don't want to get fired. Says the company is frantic and distrustful. You can feel it in every message they send. The structure is falling apart and they're scrambling.
So just real quick, because I definitely obviously want to hear you.
Right.
I've never been an employee of GameStop. We have done like a one-off project with them at one point, but I'd love to hear like when you respond to these, obviously. The feeling I got from reading this Polygon article was that the employees want to have like that friendship that you were just talking about, right? When it comes to interacting with the customers and whatnot.
Sharing that love of video games.
Yeah, that love of video games, like having that conversation with your friend,
Yeah.
right? But it sounds like corporate, from the quotes, is pushing all these things on them that are making them feel really uncomfortable, right? Like pushing them in a way that's making them feel not authentic with their customers. So like that's the feeling I got. So I just want to put that out there because like I've read the whole article and it's a doozy.
So a lot of what they're feeling now, I was at the conference. We had a new CEO. We had a reboot program, kind of like chance for the company to get on a new foot and change what they're doing. And I went to the manager conference last year, and I saw some of that, the promises or the perspective that they had, like at a corporate level, down to us. And I think a lot of the store leaders then left very like excited and amped up, knowing that the corporate messaging then was that we're like one of the last bastions of physical game retail. And it's what you said, it's having those interactions, and it's letting people who care about buying physical games have those experiences at our store, and hopefully continue to have those shopping experiences and getting their games through us, opposed to our retailer competition. The thing that I think changed after we got back from conference going into this holiday season was it's, of course, always going to be the end of a console life cycle. It's going to be a hard season when corporate's going to look at their sales goals and how they set those goals, sometimes which are just based on a previous year. And they're going to talk to the store in a way that is, like you said, and like the article says, and like some of these people are expressing, it feels like the structure and the employees themselves are feeling frantic and feeling the pressure from corporate because the sales goals are not being met. And what I want to share from that as a store leader, I remember having this Borderlands 3 launch event planned, and a few weeks out, getting really excited for Borderlands 3, thinking a lot of people are going to get this game, play it locally. It has local play. I won't get into the weeds, Borderlands 3. The features it had and the fact that it's a game that you can just get off your disc, put it in your system, and you can play with people who are next to you and play with people online or play single player.
It was an easy sell. Yeah.
It's an easy sell, and it's a game I thought, okay, whether somebody buys this digital or not, this is a game that people who don't want to deal with a 80 gig download for this game, people who don't tip their toes into the digital water are going to want to come and get this game from us. And we had a high percentage to plan. And last year I saw Mortal Kombat, Madden, a lot of games. We were, my store, 200% to our reservation plan. So we actually were the inverse of what a lot of these people who shared were, which is feeling like they were 50% to a plan or 75% to a plan set on these sales goals. So I know some of that's in the weeds.
So when you say people who shared, you mean people who spoke to Carl
in the article,
in his article?
Who spoke to Carl?
So you're saying the stores that they represented were the complete opposite of the picture that you guys had in your individual store.
And in some cases in my district, which
right.
Around August before this conference, they did see some morale drop because a lot of this was an article about the firings. A lot of district leaders and regional leaders were let go, or their jobs were became redundant, and they almost gerrymandered district, like they redistrict. So from August on, my district was actually different than it was January to August for the sales year. So that was not as much a morale thing. Some people lost their district leader, which was a big blow. And that's why they say the structure feels like it's changing, because we hadn't really seen corporate make a decision about pay and about these jobs for our bosses and their bosses. We hadn't seen that shift. And I had been with the company 5.5 years, and we hadn't seen district leaders and downsizing in that area. You see stores close, you see new ones open, you see them do different models with this new store idea of the gaming store that you can play and compete in, and then this like retro themed store. But we didn't see district leaders and regional leaders kind of either removed from their jobs or kind of let go with severance and things like that.
So I want to take a pause here to talk about district leaders. I'm glad you brought this up. Obviously, every company and corporation has a hierarchy in an organization chart, right? An org chart. Anybody who's worked in a business that has more than 3 employees,
right?
Has some kind of an organization chart. And so district leaders are part of that for GameStop. So one of the quotes in Colin's article came from another anonymous assistant manager that says, "There's a level of distrust between the DL, the district leader, and the stores. Our DL reviews the transaction records every week and will write down the exact number of transactions when we didn't offer the full trade pitch, and will then take disciplinary action for each of those employees." This seems like a very high-pressure sales situation in a company that prides itself on its relationships with its consumers. Did you feel this pressure when you were working?
Not only did I not feel that, I didn't really hear of stories like that. So
you're
when I
saying
know
that-
people who
that you're saying that you did not feel this pressure in your
didn't,
store.
I never felt that pressure, nor did I hear that level of, even like I said, people sharing with me at conference. I never heard that level of, I'd say, micromanagement or accountability, because that's what the term they would use for it would be. That's the best word I could think of. Is a district leader and the store leader and the assistant store leader having that distrust because of like either accountability or micromanagement. I didn't see that level. And granted, I know I was blessed to have, like, my district leader, I think, is one of the better ones in the company. But even neighboring district leaders, they might have their quirks or their personality traits of the way they do things with their store leaders or hold their store leaders to a certain standard. I'd hear some stories about those and be like, pick and choose. I don't like that. That's okay. That I really don't like that one thing. But I'd not heard of those kinds of things happening.
So
not to that level.
Yeah, so it feels like, just based off your anecdotes that you're sharing with us now, and obviously the people that Colin interviewed for the article are just a handful, and
Right.
that you are obviously just representing your own opinion. It seems like what you're saying is at odds, and like obviously I have said that a lot of the opinions I have are at odds with some of these stories that
Right.
we've heard come out, and I'm, to be clear, not taking away from the people that have, expressed their opinions, but I feel like it makes it hard to paint a picture for how GameStop is doing overall from a culture perspective within its own walls.
I mean, but you have 4,000 stores. Like, clearly there's going to be a range there. And I don't know how many district leaders there are, but to me, I'm like, your sample size needs to be significant in order to actually get a sense of culture.
I
No, you're
completely
100%
agree.
right. Yeah.
It sounds like if the people who shared are in a district, and which they might have 16 stores in their district, 20 stores in their district with the redistricting, that could be 20. Sometimes between 15 and 20. I could imagine having a single root of this overbranching tree, a single root being corrupted that way. I don't really know how widespread that kind of behavior is, because that is, in this article, things like that shock me, because I heard them 2 or 3, 4 years ago from Jason Schreier's article with reports, and I hadn't really heard of, I think it was a New York store leader had almost like yelled at his employee in the back for selling a new product instead of a pre-owned product. That and the thing we just read, I haven't heard of those, and those do seem like the 1% case.
Right.
And it also seems like a bad actor or maybe a personality and a leadership style that doesn't bring your people up is not only going to inhibit those people from their best potential, but it's going to make them feel that way, and it's going to bleed out into the customers, because the customers are going to come into that environment. And so, like I said, I can't really speak to those kind of wild examples, because I think the problem with these articles, and Christine mentioned the sample size, you're not having hundreds of people like me write into these, especially if we're happily working and busy, or we're,
True.
we don't have something passionate. We're just like, I really care, but I also don't want to do anything to mess this up.
Oh, Drew, are you trying to say that people who are happy don't bother to leave positive feedback?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Concept.
That's why I've never written an expose, and this is my first time talking about it with somebody.
There's a quote in this article that I would like you to talk about, Drew.
Absolutely.
One employee
Bring it
who
up.
left the company last year said, "The company would always make us shove promotions down customers' throats. They would coach us if we weren't constantly bothering our customers by trying to get them to pre-order a game or sign up for a rewards card. I've never seen a company so focused on tracking an associate's sales metrics and performance in a job that isn't commission-based." So I go to GameStop quite frequently, actually. I love going there. It's just fun. I'm among my people there. And I have noticed definitely a lot more upselling or attempts at upselling, obviously, because that's what you're supposed to do when you're in a company, is upsell people and make more pre-orders. But it definitely feels more like if I go in, let's say, to buy an RPG, it's like, well, have you heard of this FPS? Have you heard about the new consoles? Have you heard about this collector's edition? Stuff that isn't necessarily related to what I'm purchasing, and stuff that feels like more like I'm just going to fire off a bunch of shit and hope something sticks. Don't get mad at them. I don't fault them because I know what they're trying to do.
Oh,
but
right.
Did you experience anything like that too?
So my perspective, and that's what I was starting to share with earlier, is I never felt like I was being told that I should go up to a customer and just throw stuff until it sticks. This is why I brought up the conference, the manager conference we went to. What my district leader talked to us about, and what my peers and I talked about before this conference was, oh, it sounds like they're going to do this new training thing at conference. The good stores have already been doing that. And what I mean by that is the good stores and the good leadership at those stores and in the districts were already having their customers be interacted with in a way where, say I'm in the employee and I would walk up, I would ask you how you're doing, but I would give you moments to browse shop, and I wouldn't like immediately walk up to you and create a confrontation.
Right, but I don't think we're trying to compare individual employees against each other, because you're always going to have better sales people than others, right? There's always going to be people who are better at their job. I think what we're trying to get a sense of from you, having been with the company for multiple years and talked and having, spoken to several other people in districts or regions outside of your own, is to like, did you hear these from your peers, not within your store? Because I think it's clear that you were in a store that seemed to have a pretty healthy and positive relationship, not only with your coworkers, but also with your customers. But is this article something that people should be concerned about? Is this a pervasive culture thing within GameStop at large? Or is this something that is just indicative of a large company having some disgruntled people within its walls, which I feel like every large company suffers from?
I'd have to say that the actual associates, the employees who spoke up in the article, they're feeling a disconnect between this new training that was implemented at conference and what's currently being asked for of store leaders and associates to engage with their guests about. And I'll elaborate. So the training was basically to greet guests, engage with them in a less aggressive way, a passive way that's open-ended questions, friendly, a few relevant things to what they're interested in. And around holidays, it was no tears on Christmas, making sure people have kind of just an idea of everything they need for a product they're interested in.
No one wants to cry on Christmas.
You don't want them to open up their Xbox, not have that extra controller or Xbox Live or something. Those kinds of things. And you don't want the parent who doesn't know about all those kinds of things. So it's in going up and suggesting, you're not actually directed, as far as I know, and for most district leaders and my peer store leaders, we didn't feel like we were directed to go up to a guest and ask them to, questions about every single upcoming release across all genres. It would be ask open-ended questions about the kind of games they like, or lead off with what was the last game you played that you really loved. Going from that point, it should feel natural because you're actually asking them open-ended questions, and then you know what to say. Not, we're telling you what to say. I never felt like there were scripts. And in corporate messaging that goes to every store, that I can speak to, I never felt like there were scripts. I feel like if your store was resisting or struggling in a lot of areas, there could be situations where they had sent out scripts. And I haven't seen any of those with my own eyes, and I haven't seen district leaders or store leaders talk to me about that or send demonstrations, or I haven't even seen them on Reddit. Right. But I will say this. That was the training that was implemented as all employees must catch up to this, and this is a August manager conference, positive customer engagement reboot to the training.
I think what I would love to end this with, because we've taken enough of your time, and we have a lot more to talk about this week, is this final words that Colin wrote in his article, saying, a small number of the employees who contacted us were angry about media portrayals of GameStop as an avaricious company or one that is facing extinction. Judging by anecdotal evidence, GameStop staff members are frequently subjected to rudeness and abuse by customers, which is sometimes fueled by negative coverage of the company, especially on social media. One manager said, I really want to get a fair representation of GameStop out there. I don't think we're all bad. We try to do an awful lot of good. I think senior managers have excellent intentions and are trying their best to steer us in that direction, end quote. But almost all the employees Polygon spoke to expressed a broadly negative view of the company's strategies and its prospects. Said one, they don't listen to the employees. We need managers who have actually worked in the stores, who listen to store managers. I worked for a blank retail chain in the last few years, and while we're not there yet, I definitely see some warning signs. And that's how he ended the article. So it seemed like it was like GameStop is always portrayed being kind of gross and bad. And employees don't want that. But then it was like
gross and bad things.
And then at the very end, it's like, well, actually, zing, this guy said this. So like, I mean, it left me really kind of scratching my head a bit, Drew, going, so do GameStop employees like working for GameStop or do they don't? And obviously you cannot speak for all employees. There are tens of thousands of employees that work for GameStop around the world. And no one person's experience is going to match another's because the cultures and the regions around the country, just in the United States, are very different. And so the way that district leaders or regional managers, et cetera, run their businesses are going to be inherently different. I think what we would like to hear from you to kind of like finalize and like put an end to our interview today is like, what would you like the people listening to the show, fans of What's Good Games, to kind of take away as you, Drew, a member of our community and somebody who's been supporting us since day one and obviously part of our clans and things of like what you want people to take away from your experience working with GameStop?
So, one point on Borderlands 3, we had lost a lot of sales, physical sales to that game to digital. I think it was the first game that I felt the slide towards a real momentum shift towards, wow, like this one we expected to do a lot of physical copies for. We really got killed by people already buying digital copies. So if you like physical games and you want to buy physical games and you know, go into your GameStops and just be like, hey, I know you guys may have some conditions that aren't always great for you. I know that you guys are still here because you're passionate or because you really care about gaming, and that's why you're working here. If you go in and brighten their day, not only is that gonna trickle upwards, or if they see things and you talk to them about this kind of subject, if you start those dialogues, you're going to have a store that's going to interact with you better, and you're going to have a store that's going to try to take some of these things we're talking about today up to their district leader or up the chain. They're going to be able to send those things upwards. And when new staff comes on, they're going to be able to train those staff better. All I can say is that the reason you have this like contrast is because people are scared that these stores will go away and that physical media is dying. But if, you know, Gary Whitta said something about it recently. If you care about physical media and you care about having a good experience with a GameStop, put that positivity out online, talk to your friends about it, start conversations about it, and go into the stores and talk to those associates. That's probably what I'd say. Because that's wherever things end up financially, we don't have a lot of control over that. As a customer, now that I buy stuff there and I don't work there, I don't have a lot of control over that other than just supporting them and getting my stuff there. As a store worker or a district leader, you're not going to have too much sway over what corporate decides to do with the company and the directions they go. So just put positivity out there and start these dialogues. That's what I'd say.
Well, Drew, thank you so much for all of your time today and for your perspective. We, of course, love that you're part of our community here at What's Good Games. Where can people find you if they want to follow you and what you're doing online these days?
I'm at Endorphins SC. That's South Carolina, but SC, it's not very clever. On Twitter, at Endorphins SC. And what I'm doing nowadays, I really am looking to start putting out this kind of positivity in both talks on streams and written stuff. So, but I mean, you're always going to see me shouting out games that you might not have heard of or when I'm passionate about something, I talk about it. So that's pretty much, I wear that on my sleeve, and I'm not an anime avatar. So.
You're not an egg.
It's
No.
true.
Yep.
You're a real boy.
It's just me. Yep. And come play with us in the Destiny 2 clan in the next season, on What's Good Guardians.
Yeah, man.
Maybe
All right,
I
well,
will.
Drew, it was great to see you. Take care. Have a great night. We'll see you next time.
Thanks so much.
And we're back. Thank you so much to Drew for taking the time. We know this has been a whopper of a first segment, but we are going to talk about some games that we have been playing. When we come back, stick with us. We'll see you in a minute. What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the second and final segment of the What's Good Games podcast. You're like, wait, the show is still going. Yes, it is, because we have some...
Unfortunately.
No, it's great because
But the way you said it was just kind of like, yeah, uh-huh.
No, I think the problem is that we had a very long day shooting our special project.
We did.
Normally, we don't shoot the show so
I'm
late
in
into
bed
the
by
evening.
this time.
I'm proud
It's
of you.
true. Steimer's always like, I'm sleepy. And Brittany and I are like, let's party. And then we're just
old.
really on the couch.
And
like,
then she's, and this timer's always the one who feels really good the next morning. And then we're the ones with the big bags. We're all puffy, hungover.
It's true. Steimer makes good life choices.
Yeah, you're a real
the
adult.
that she is.
I try.
But before we get to my special Outriders preview, which I've been really anxious to talk about on the show, we have a message from our sponsor. And this week, firsthand impressions are brought to you by Bespoke Post. This winter, start a new routine to upgrade your everyday life with a monthly box of awesome from Bespoke Post. Bespoke Post sends people only the best stuff every month. So whether you're looking to commemorate an occasion with a champagne saber or toast perfectly aged winter cocktails, Box of Awesome has you covered. From styling and grooming goods to barware, cooking tools, and outdoor gear, Box of Awesome has carefully built collections for every part of your life. So one of the Box of Awesomes that I use every day that I'm in my home office is this fantastic desk kit that came with this beautiful leather letter set that you write on. And I have this really fancy time turner magnet. And it just kind of elevates my at-home work experience, which I love. But they have a new set of Box of Awesome that are currently available on the website. And the one that I'm really got my eye on that I'm excited to try is the Cantina.
Yes.
So Brittany and I are big fajita fans.
It's true. We got some in
I mean,
Vegas.
I like fajitas.
I don't think you and I have ever shared a plate of fajitas.
Yes, we have, and it was at a restaurant, and they gave us mostly peppers, and I was like, I don't eat the peppers.
Oh, I remember that. And I was like, I
And you were
love
like,
me some
excuse
peppers.
me, where is the meat?
And so they have this Cantina box that they're doing that has this great citrus juicer on it. It's got the skillet, the cast iron skillet that you
It's a
see
pretty
fajitas come
skillet.
in.
Yeah.
I mean, not sorry. This thing is cool. The
So
tortilla
the
thing.
tortilla holder.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, so it's a really neat thing because you never really think about buying stuff like this for yourself. At least I don't. I never would have thought about buying a fajita skillet,
No,
right?
Ooh, that glass is cool.
But the idea of being able to make fajitas on a sizzling skillet at home sounds super cool because fajitas are super easy to make. And they even include fajita spices, which I love, and a little cilantro herb garden in a cup
Yeah,
where
that's
you can
really
grow
cool,
your
too.
own cilantro.
Oh my god, they have a carving kit.
Yeah, so this is the one that Brittany wants to get.
Oh my
which I'm
God,
very
Because you
want
excited
see,
about.
Seimer, I am an artiste, specifically in Microsoft Paint, and I feel like this is a good way for me to hold
Do
my
you
craft.
think I'm not also an artist?
I mean, you are, but you're a legit artist. I'm
I told Brittany the carve box from Bespoke Post is a great way for her to up-res her artistry.
This
to go
looks
from
cool.
Microsoft Paint to IRL artistry.
I like this a lot.
it's really neat, but my worry is it comes with a pocket knife, and I'm not yet an adult. My
You
family
know,
literally does not trust me with
You
knives.
should have Jason supervise you.
Oh, he
and I'm
does.
sure it'll be fine.
When people see me with a knife, they run away. But no, the carve looks really, really cool.
I don't blame them, but
That's a harsh
I
truth.
do look forward to seeing your artistic works that come from this carved box. So if you guys want to get started, you can take the quiz at boxofawesome.com. Your answers will help them pick the right box of awesome for you. And they will release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. It's free to sign up, and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. Each box costs only $45, but has over $70 worth of gear inside. So to get your 20% off your first monthly box when you sign up at boxofawesome.com, you need to enter the code What's Good at checkout. That's boxofawesome, just like it sounds, .com, boxofawesome.com, code What's Good at checkout for 20% off your first box. And you too can soon get better at life IRL.
It's true.
All right, so you guys.
Tell us about the writers that are outside.
The writers that are outside. We first saw the Outriders at the Square Enix press conference at E3 last summer. I was really taken by surprise when this game was announced because I did not see this coming. I think we haven't heard from People Can Fly in quite some time, and the fact that they are making a new shooter with Square Enix really kind of caught me off guard. But I was intrigued. I love sci-fi. I love shooters. So I was like, okay, lay it on me. Those 3-person co-op. And
there's 3 of us.
Oh, look, there's 3 of us. Unfortunately, because of timing, neither of you could be at the event with me, though we had planned for all of us to be there together. But I had some pretty amazing substitute players. So one, Alana Pierce, who was just on the show, got to play. And Mr. Andy Cortez from Kind of Funny Games.
That's a good group.
Yeah, I hadn't seen Andy in a while.
It's good you got a good B team.
Yeah. So the 3 of us got to play, and it was a lot of fun, and we got to learn a lot about the game. So let me pull up my notes here to talk about Outriders. So if you're not familiar with People Can Fly as a studio, they're really most well known for their work on the Gears of War franchise, but they also put out a very kind of culty, popular game called Bulletstorm. Yes. So this game was a very campy, over the top shooter that leaned into being gratuitous. Yeah. And I really enjoyed Bulletstorm, but then they kind of broke off from Epic Games and they became quiet. They kind of went underground because they wanted to develop their own original IP. Thus, we now have learned that IP was Outriders. And the team over at Square Enix said, hey, we like what you guys are doing. Let's publish the game. So now they're publishing together. So the game is, I believe, slated for, yes, here it is in my notes, holiday 2020. It has been announced for PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, and PC. And like I mentioned, it was a 3-player co-op. And the build that we played was a specific high-end PC build. So they were very clear. They're like, we're not talking about the new consoles. We're not talking about the specs of the new consoles. We're not talking about our game's performance on the new consoles. We're talking about PC only. So that makes sense because a lot of that stuff, I would guess, is still under wraps, right? Yeah. So we got to play the game, and I have some gameplay footage here. So while I talk about the game, I'm going to show you guys some of my gameplay footage. So if you guys are not watching the show, you're listening, maybe you want to come join us at youtube.com/whatsgoodgames.
Or you can just use your...
So Andrew's being real fancy.
There we go. Be quiet, game. Hush you. Perfect.
No. Okay, hold on. The thing's still on. I'm just gonna put the gameplay over the screen anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, so on the screen, what you guys can see is some of my co-op gameplay. So there are 3 classes. So let me not get too far ahead of myself. So as you guys are watching my gameplay, Outriders is set in a dark sci-fi universe in a new age, cutting-edge console technology generation. Ooh. There's no loot boxes and no pay to win. It's not going to be a games as service.
I just love how
everyone has to say that
when
now.
you announce a new game now, you have to say no loot boxes.
I'm sorry, there's Star Wars ruined it for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, literally, this is the first question they get asked, and they try to head it off to the past. I don't blame them.
I mean,
get ahead of it.
Sad.
Yeah.
So we're playing on a planet called Enoch. So essentially, the Outriders are an elite force of explorers that are trained to be boots on the ground. And what they are supposed to do is go to a new planet, because Earth is obviously dying in the future, and find us a new inhabitable home. And they find this planet Enoch. So they get down to the surface, and then lo and behold, there's an anomaly, which is like a weird energy source that changed the planet. Very Anthem feeling.
So it's not something you can see. It's like a force.
Yes, so I have. I'm going through my menu right now. Obviously, I'm very low level. This is all like low level.
I like your
gear.
character's
I
crotch
literally,
spot.
I literally have a coat called the crusty coat.
Battered
That's an
coat.
adjective you want your coat to have.
So, Outriders
Britches
is.
of the Awakened.
Battered boots.
I just
Oh,
like,
you
I
are
like
really
that
just
they
starting
use the
out
word
here.
britches. That's
Oh yeah,
kind
this
of
is like
amazing.
this is low level stuff. So Outriders is an RPG and shooter hybrid that we've seen a couple of times in the space done really well. So that means you're going to get a lot of customization of your gear, guns, and vehicles. There's a crafting system and there's a world structure. So we're going to get into that in just a second, the way that they structure difficulty within the worlds. So the kind of overall feel is sci-fi meets savagery. The visual identity to me looked a little bit like Destiny crossed with Gears. So if you look at like the way that the armor is structured and some of the planetary stylings, it felt a little bit more Destiny to me than Gears, but the gameplay felt a lot more Gears than
I'm sorry,
Destiny.
did you say it is games as a service or not?
It is not.
Got
It
it.
is not a games as service. So don't plan on playing this game like you would play Destiny. So what they called twisted and beautiful gear, leaning into the RPG element. There's going to be hundreds of unique models of weapons and gear. There's going to be 4 classes and 8 skills per class. The 3 classes that we played at the preview event were the Pyromancer, which specializes in fire magic and aerial maneuverability. The Tricksters, which manipulate time and space, and are the Assassin class,
Ooh,
which
that
I felt
sounds
like
interesting.
I felt like that would be a Steimer.
And then the
and
Britt
of course,
class.
Britt's fave, the Devastator, the Face Tank, the Brute Force,
Yes, that's
the
very
the
Brittany.
heavy class.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of fun playing as the Pyromancer because they're more of like a mid-range character, so they do a lot more crowd control, which I really enjoy doing. And so I had a lot of fun. So they do a good balance between using your guns and using your abilities. Oh, I think we're in a cutscene right now.
Did they say what the 4th class is?
They did not.
Okay, just wasn't sure.
I imagine they're going to have another reveal event either at E3 or, before launch, PAX West or whatever. Let me see if I can skip ahead. Where is my mouse
it's
again?
fine. It's
Oh,
done.
it's good.
That's
Oh,
it.
okay, it's gone.
It's done.
And
It heard you calling.
didn't it? And then going back to my notes here, so the world tier difficult system. So this was the part that they kind of lost me on. So far the gameplay was fun. I was having a good time in co-op. I really enjoyed using my powers, and it was all going great. Until I was like, okay, so how do the difficulty tiers work in co-op? Because you clearly are showing this in co-op. We were playing together. And that's where they kind of lost me. And I was a little bit frustrated. So the way that co-op works is that, let's say the 3 of us are playing together.
Mm-hmm.
I have been like grinding and playing a lot. So I'm like level 35. I'm literally just pulling numbers out of thin air, for example. Brittany has been playing just a little bit. She's like level 10. Steimer's like, yo, I have a big girl real job. I'm level 3. I'm just getting into it. And but we want to get together and play on the weekend because we never get to play games, all 3 of us together. It's going to be fun. When Brittany and I jump into the game, we will have to jump into Steimer's game, or Steimer will flounder in ours because there is no leveling of enemies. So if the 2 of you come into my game, you will be facing enemies at the high level, which will crush you. And then if I go into your game, I'm going to come in and just mop the floor with the enemies, which sounds kind of fun for me. But what it means is that the loot drops don't match
for what you need.
what my level is.
That's a choice.
That's a choice that I was, quite honestly, really flabbergasted at.
Did they talk about that at all?
So I pressed them on it, but we did a group Q&A.
Oh.
And some of the people in my group Q&A were asking ridiculous questions that they weren't going to answer, like, let's talk about the end game lore. And I was like, no, I don't. First off, no one in this room wants to talk about that. That's spoiler territory. And then they kept pressing about these lore questions. I was like, no one wants to hear about the lore right now. I want to hear about the gameplay. And so I was trying to get a clear answer. Because to me, if you're going to come out into the space with an RPG shooter hybrid, and you're not at least matching what Destiny and Borderlands are doing, then you're already behind. because those are two stellar, excellent, amazing games that are pillars of online connectivity and group gameplay from a co-op perspective. And they talked nothing about PvP in this game. From my understanding, PvP is not part of this game. It's not part of the plan of this game. And if it's going to be part of the plan, it's not coming until after launch. But they were not talking anything about PvP. So I was like, okay, cool. So let me talk about the other games that are doing shooters and RPGs that are really good at co-op. And so instantly Borderlands was the first one that came to mind. And they had a revolutionary loot system in Borderlands 3. Something that people, I think, underappreciate the amount of development that went into those individual loot streams and being able to play in a mixed party with people of mixed levels and everybody being able to play together and get their own loot and the enemies feeling balanced because math is hard, but somehow Gearbox figured it out. Like, kudos to you, Gearbox. Like, you did some really cool shit. And people are like, oh, it just works. It's easy. I go, no, it doesn't just work. It works
behind the scenes
because somebody made it work. Yeah. And so I was like, okay. And Destiny, of course, I don't need to go on and on about how much I love Destiny. You all know. And so I was really kind of frustrated leaving this interview with the team from People Can Fly. So I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce these Polish names. But the game director Bartek was there. The studio head Sebastian was there. The lead level designer Rafal was there. The lead technical game designer Piotr, I believe, was there. And the lead writer Joshua was there. And so they were doing questions. Well, Sebastian had to leave early, but the rest of the team was answering questions. And I was just like, listen, I had a ton of fun playing this game. The guns feel great. The co-op gameplay feels fun. It really felt like the level design felt very like Mass Effect-y cross gears in a way that really hit me in like the, oh, I love both of these franchises as third-person shooters. Like, the cover felt sticky enough, but not too sticky. And it felt like there was a meaningful balance between throwing and using my powers and upgrading them and also using my arsenal of weapons. And this was just in the first couple of levels. And so I was very much intrigued. But they lost me at this sci-fi drop of the ball.
Did they say how long the game they're thinking it might be?
I don't recall, and I don't want to speculate.
Sure. No, that's fine. Because I'm trying to think why, unless it's a resource issue, why would you not implement an issue like this? I understand it's not a games as a service, so you're probably expecting like a one and done playthrough. And the games as a service, obviously much more important to have those features in there. But if this whole thing relies on co-op, it's...
I assume that even though the loot would be kind of unusable for you if like you come into my level 3 game. I'm so sad in this scenario.
It's okay, girl.
That I'm still getting the same amount of XP. Am I leveling much faster because you're killing everything quickly?
I hope so. I
If you
didn't
went into
ask
her
that
game?
specific question. I did ask the question. So if I go into my friend's game out of the kindness of my heart to help level them, what do I get from it? Besides just the satisfaction that I helped my friend.
A good deed in this world.
And that's essentially what they said.
They're like,
you're getting
you know
a good
what?
deed.
Huh.
Karma is a reward in and of itself.
That's true. I mean, you're such a good friend. You would do that anyway because spending time with us is like, you know.
But yeah, no, I get it. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting to be like, wow, I could have, depending on how long this game is, I could spend a bunch of time really for nothing. And since it is not a game as service, you're literally just doing me a favor of running me through the game entirely versus us actually having an experience together,
Right.
and feeling like we are on the same page.
Yeah, because then I was going to say, well, can you have multiple characters? But if Steimer's, let's say, level 20, that still doesn't make a difference because you'd have to start a character at like level 1 and then you're in the same boat.
Yes.
Yeah, and so to me, I was just I was left scratching my head going, but why? Why would you build a game that's 3-player co-op PvE that does not offer some kind of incentive? Because right now, if you were to put this game head-to-head with Borderlands, why would I play Outriders over Borderlands? It features these people on alien worlds with special abilities and co-op gunplay where you're in a sci-fi universe. And so, like, they put a lot of stock into their narrative. They're like, people are going to come play this for the narrative. And I go... In my mind, I'm thinking, and I didn't say this because I didn't have my thoughts fully formed and I didn't want to pose a narrative question to the dev team because at this stage of the game, generally when you do so, they're just like, we're not talking about that yet. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, this concept of like, we're going to go find a new inhabitable planet. And then we get there and there's this alien force and this special weird anomaly. I'm like, you're just like pulling.
I've heard this tune before.
You're like pulling from Mass Effect. You're pulling from Gears. You're pulling from Anthem. You're pulling from Destiny. You're pulling from a million other like sci-fi fantasy worlds that have already done this timeline. So what makes your game unique? And I never felt like I got a sense of what that was from their team during this interview process. And that could be just because they're not ready to talk about that yet and reveal that part of the narrative. Or it could be because it's just derivative. And like, that's not necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that we need to reinvent the wheel with narrative every single time. Because that's
like the
hard.
fire stuff looks cool.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is I had a ton of fun with this game. So again, this is my Pyromancer gameplay here. But I just,
for those of you who are not watching, it's just like she's shooting silicones of fire at people.
It's beautiful.
It's great.
It's beautiful.
well, there's also a boss we were fighting that was shooting tornadoes of fire at us.
Oh,
so maybe it was the boss. and
I
not
just
me.
saw them and I was like, that's cool.
But I don't want to take away from the fun and the excitement I had while playing this game. I'm just really worried that
You're worried
it's
about
not
incentives.
that it's not going to have legs,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about it not being a games of service. I'm like, to me, a sci-fi shooter that's co-op where you have powers and guns is like Borderlands. Like that's Borderlands. You know, and like you could even say that could be Destiny, even though I feel like the guns are a much bigger part of Destiny's mechanics than the actual powers are. But I think it depends how you play and what class you play. Anyway, I don't want to digress into comparisons because clearly, like, I respect People Can Fly as a studio, and I was very excited to go play this game, and I had a lot of fun playing this game. I just don't know if it's going to be a game that I'm going to have a lot of fun playing for multiple hours and multiple days at a time. And I'm worried that it's just going to not hold my attention for very long.
Well, if it's not games of service, it's not designed to do that.
I'm assuming online matchmaking's a thing. Did they talk about that?
I don't have it in my notes, but I believe yes.
It makes sense. Okay.
I thought I asked that question.
I feel like, getting two people to play with you can be hard sometimes. Is that what she said? Maybe.
It's, it is difficult.
You just have to look at your
schedules
phone.
be arranged.
You
You do
know?
have to look at your phone occasionally.
You do have to maybe turn your invites on and not mute them. That
No,
might
it's
help
just the
you.
ongoing joke. That and I only play games from the 90s.
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't want to get into details about the world tier difficulty systems because that'll just get me frustrated about co-op play. But they do have a really interesting system with difficulty where they have this world tier system. It kind of reminds me a little bit of what Massive is doing with the Division 2, where you have these world tiers and each tier kind of ranks the difficulty of
What's
the same
funny is
missions
you're
differently.
talking, and I'm like, this map reminds me of Division, kind of, just
Yeah.
artistically. And then in the menu for your gear, it looks like Destiny.
Yeah, I was thinking the
and
same
then
thing.
It
and then
does.
in the actual
same.
game, it looks like you said, sort of Destiny / more Gears, because obviously you don't really the way you're playing it isn't
because
very
it's third
Destiny,
person
but
versus
yeah.
first, right? Yeah, and the
Destiny's
cover shooter
Gears,
just
the
feels
cover
very
shooter.
Gears,
Right.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just it's an interesting blend. Which
Yeah.
again, like, I'm not against, and I don't think you're against. Like, not everything needs to reinvent the wheel entirely,
Right.
but at the same time, I think what you're just expressing is, like, at the same time, you need a baseline of quality of life across across the genre in order to match and build an incentive for you to go to that game.
100%. I think the last game I talked about that felt like it was really blending genres this way in a successful way was Jedi Fallen Order. And I think the thing that game had that this game doesn't,
because I'm like the one dissenter of that game.
and it's fine. You can dissent if you want, but what I think they did well, that I believe is undisputable, is that they mashed genres together in a really successful way, and they did it all under the Star Wars banner. And that's what that game had. They said, you know what? We're not going to be able to potentially lean on reinventing the wheel with mechanics. We have to lean into our IP. We're freaking Star Wars, and we're going to make gameplay that is inherently going to be a little derivative, but we're going to blend it in a way that feels unique. And I think Respawn was really successful, and that game was one of the best games of 2019. You can disagree with me if you want. That's totally fine. But what I think this game is lacking is that they don't have that name recognition, right? They're not going to get people to come to the door because Outriders, like,
Outriders is
what
not
the heck
a name.
is that game?
Exactly. Yeah. It's not a name that I would be like, tell me more. It sounds honestly like fairly generic, or like maybe a movie, or something else that like, oh, Outriders. Yeah, I think I maybe heard about that on Netflix or something, like, right? Like, you just kind of, it seems like one of those names that you feel you have heard before, but it's not really associating with anything strongly in your mind.
Right, and it's after this preview event. I mean, it's a stacked year, and if this game is coming out holiday 2020, like you're saying, Sam, you need that baseline, but you also need the special. Like, what sets you apart? Like, what makes people flock and remember this game? I'm looking at it, and I can see how it would be fun, but watching it, I'm not like, oh my god, I can't wait to play this. Something
It just looks solid. Like, it's like, oh yeah, that'd be like a good
fun
time
experience
if we got together and played this.
but nothing is like, oh my god.
So I think if you are somebody who is like maybe only plays co-op, is looking for something where you have a small crew of people and you do play constantly all together, like this would be definitely a thing for you. And that would be a game that you could keep your eye on. But yeah, otherwise it's it's something that we will watch and play. But
But what does it do that special and unique?
I think it maybe needs to set itself apart a little bit more.
Yes, and like I'm hoping that they just were holding back cool things because it was the first time that they really showcased gameplay and showcased the mechanics, and they're like, we're just gonna give you a little sneak peek. But I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not a little gun shy after everything that happened with Anthem, because I walked away.
Yeah, we thought it was gonna be amazing,
dude. I walked away from multiple preview events from Anthem thinking this game is going to be amazing. It's gonna be great. I love BioWare. I love what they're showing me, and then it just underwhelmed, for lack of a better word, you know? And like I was really sad by how that like turned out, and so now I'm a little gun shy, and I think that it's good for me to stop and take pause and go, yo, I really like this, but what could potentially go wrong? What is the foreseeable with moment? And I think that People Can Fly can land this if they message it the right way, and I don't feel like they messaged it the right way at this event.
Right, and right now when things are pretty quiet, I feel like this is when you have to message it, because once Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy and Last of Us start coming out, I mean...
When is this game's release date?
Holiday 2020, so this year.
Rough chuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed. I mean, always got to support the news.
I mean, if they can launch like later in the holiday, like late November, they could potentially find themselves a window where they're missing like the kind of like big Titan games, right? They'll be like The Last of Us Part 2 will have already been out.
But even if you manage to fucking bullet time dodge those things,
you're in prime of holiday season.
You still need to convince people to play it.
Well, yeah, and that's when all the big marketing pushes for everything else. The new consoles are going to be coming, and I guess maybe they can piggyback off that.
I feel like they could be very successful with this game if they delay till January.
Yeah, that's fair.
If they get out of the holiday window and say, you know what, we need more polish time.
That's when everyone will have their new shiny consoles.
Yeah.
And then January will be that time where, it's usually pretty quiet, and I feel like that would be better for them.
Yeah, I'm looking at my calendar of anticipated game releases, and it's kind of
like,
quiet.
We don't know because there's also new consoles.
Right, and that's just the other thing was
But I think
Horizon 2.
No matter how good this, even if I walked away from this preview going, wow, I was blown away by how amazing this game is.
Yeah.
They still are the underdog going against giant studios and IP that have established fan bases, because people haven't heard from People Can Fly in a long time. And Square Enix's track record on shooters specifically is middling at best. It's like, the last big shooter they put out was Just Cause 4, and that has a very specific audience and is a very different game than Outriders.
Yikes! No, it's sad because, like you said, we want them to succeed. I think new IP is always important for the industry, but when you're going up against these heavy hitters with established fan bases that have been promoting their stuff for a very long time, it's just hard to imagine a scenario where it does incredibly well.
Yeah,
which sucks. But I think we've all been in the industry long enough where we see the writing on the wall. I hope it's successful. I hope they come out with some information that really blows our minds. But even if they do, like when you're going up against all these other games, like you said,
they need some more, like, to me personally, from granted, judging based on the fucking video footage I just watched.
Like 15 minutes.
My gameplay.
Right. Like, so I'm like, whatever. But I do think they maybe visually could work color-wise or color palette-wise, like set themselves apart a little bit better, because it just reads as third-person shooter to me visually. And I think even if you messed around with the armor more and you had, like, on their trailers and things, I hope that they play with some of the end game loot so you visually see different silhouettes and might be more drawn to it, because you'll be like, ooh, what's that? Can I look like that? Because there I was just like, this looks like a Destiny character with a cloak on its head.
Steimer just wants capes.
And I don't even care about if it's necessarily a cape. I do love a good cape.
Mm-hmm.
I want, like I just said, a different visual silhouette for my character so that I feel like I am unique as compared to you when you're playing somebody or you when you're playing somebody. Like, I want us to feel and look different.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're going to play very differently, then our armor, in my opinion, should look much different.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you're a berserker boy or whatever and face tanky, you should have
Face tanky stuff.
giant plates of armor
Yeah.
on you. If you are a pyromancer person, you should have a little bit more lighter armor that's a little flowier or whatever, and I should be like tight leathers, right? If you're doing
Well, they showed at the event, they showed us some art of some of like the more
the
high-end
high end stuff.
armor,
pretty?
and like it looks more elemental inspired than more like actually like true apparel inspired. Like it looks almost alien, but elemental inspired to your class.
That sounds cool.
And I thought it looked really neat. Yeah, so I'm excited to
I want
see.
them to show show more of
Show
that.
that.
And I think
Yeah.
and use that in your marketing materials because I think that is what visually will draw people in.
Yes, 100%. No crusty coats.
No. Nobody wants some backseat bitches either. But
I'm excited to learn more
listen.
about this narrative, though, that they're supposedly so excited about. Talk about that, too.
Listen, I love good sci-fi. I do. I just finished The Expanse and I'm fucking obsessed with it.
Is there player choice to talk about that? Like,
Oh, I thought you meant in The Expanse.
So
I mean,
it's
that too.
there's a creator character, and it's the options that I saw. They were like, please, like, just note that this is a very pre-alpha build. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna
Sure.
add more stuff. But the creator character I saw was good.
Okay.
So that character you saw, I created her. Had a little like
Saw that. That was nice.
shaved head.
Little
And,
sad.
yeah, and Alana she gave herself like white hair, like an old man with a beard.
Oh my
Nice.
god, that's
That-
what
that
every
sounds like
character
something she would
Jason
do.
makes is an old man with a beard. White hair, white beard, old man. What the heck?
I don't know.
I don't get it.
You know what?
Oh.
Different
Hey,
strokes,
man.
different
Yeah, there
folks.
you
But
go.
yeah, there's a creative character, so you
Okay.
get to create. And I really loved the female voice actor.
Okay.
I thought she did a great job. I will say 100% props to whoever the voice director and the writer is because I was into it.
Sweet.
Nice.
Did,
That's always good.
did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently people didn't really care for the male voice actor, but I never played as him. So play a lady.
Yeah.
They're better. And
So
on that
true.
note,
True.
thank you to Square Enix and People Can Fly for having me out at the event. And we will, of course, be following up with more coverage of Outriders later on in the year when hopefully they invite us back to play a little more. Next
Yeah.
time, you have to come with me. We can play
Yeah, I
together.
will. That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'll face tank.
Ladies, I have hogged this whole section. Is there something else that you guys would like to talk about
I've played
Can't.
some incredible things.
that we can talk about next week?
Exactly. So I'm gonna have to remain quiet
Two
during the segment.
embargoed games.
That's all I got. That's all I can do.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like, I can tell you about my other MMO fail attempt.
Yeah.
So like I hopped back into Guild Wars for a little bit, and again, I was just like, I do still really love this game so much, but I just don't think I'm there anymore. And another very stark reminder of that was my very brief foray dipping my toes back into the waters of DC Universe Online. Because so I was texting with Greg about something else unrelated, and he randomly was just like, by the way, do you want to get back into DCUO? Because we played that all the time. And we were like super fucking into that game. We ran duos every day. And it was just so, it was a fun, stupid MMO. Like the voice acting was hilarious. And we even still quote it sometimes. It's just like, you'll not get in the way for my plans for Flash. And like, it's just like really campy. But we were like, that's
Into
part
it.
of the charm.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, you know what? Sure. Why not? I'll re-download DCU. Then I download it.
Uh-huh.
And then
Oh.
the old stab in the back.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
So I get to it and I was like, hey, Greg, it's telling me here that I need to pay like $50 to boost my character up to like a normal level. And he was like, yeah, I wasn't sure how to tell you that. I didn't think you'd be interested actually when you said yes. Like, I didn't think you'd say yes. And they were doing a promotion back in January where for like the 9th anniversary, it was free. And so like he got boosted for free and then started telling people about it in February once it was over. And I was like, you suck.
Oh no.
wait, but why would they take it away? $50
I don't know.
value?
It's too much. Like, I was like, look, even if this was $10, it would still be a hard sell for me, but I would probably be more inclined to do it.
$50?
But I'm not doing
Nah, dog.
doing that.
Mm-mm.
So like I ran around in the world for a little bit, mostly just to reconnect with my character,
Yeah.
remember what she looked like. Because I was like, oh yeah. So her name was Lady Irana. Irana is from Quest for Glory, if you do not know. And maybe it means other things too, but that's where my reference is. And I was like, oh yeah, she looked like a badass. Like I forgot about her. She was great. And I was the healer, and like we would run stupid raid groups or whatever. Anyways, it was very fun for me once upon a time. But jumping back into it, I was like, I'm trying to go through all my gear. I went through the bank, like sold all my old shit.
Wow.
And then it was one of those things similar with Guild Wars where I kind of looked at it, was like, I loved this. I think it is time to close this chapter.
So
I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's going back for
Right.
me, because the investment it would take in order to re-engage. And I'm not even talking about the $50. Just what do I even need to do in this game? Where do I go? It took me forever to figure out how to get out of the watchtower because I couldn't remember. I was like, I think there was a portal around here somewhere to get back into the open world. Fuck, I don't remember. And just trying to do all of that is just so much more investment. And as much as I loved MMOs once upon a time, I think I am far too old for them now. And I just don't have.
Well, for now, maybe
time
it's just
investment.
not. Yeah, maybe later.
But very fond to be once upon a time DCUO. Also, bring back that friggin' thing where you made everybody level up for free.
Yeah,
Because
you should do that.
your game is old.
I feel like you just give that for free. Like in
That's what I'm
Destiny,
saying.
whenever
Yeah.
they release a new expansion, they just like give everybody an auto boost when you buy the expansion.
Because you want people to play the game,
Right.
Which is
And
where
I was like,
yeah.
and he was like, well, there's other things, and it's like boosts you really quickly or whatever. I just was like,
Nah, dog.
when I hit that, I was like, I could do these things, but I don't think I don't think
This
I
is a
will.
hard no. Yeah, no, I'm with you.
If
That's
you are
fair.
an Avengers person, you'll understand that reference. But old Chris Evans, no.
Well, I'm
I don't
proud of
think
you
I
for
will.
giving it a shot. I saw when you tweeted that. I was like, dang girl.
Yeah, I was like, oh, it's gonna be so fun. Like, yeah,
Your character's so
we're
cute.
we're gonna go back. We're gonna play those dumb duos, and like, I don't remember what the fuck I was doing, but you just kind of mash buttons in DCUO, and it's okay. It's a very button mashy MMO, like, because you're just like, "Meh," and like, yes, there are combos, and you could try to learn them with Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. So yeah, it's close the chapter on the MMOs. I dip my toes in and out of Guild Wars every now and then. When I ran around in the world, I was kind of remembering my combos for my ranger, which was nice.
Do you think if you started, because there's so many MMOs, I feel like coming out, new ones. If you started a new one from scratch, do you think you might?
I could, except the time.
So it's not even just like the reinvestment into the MMO that you've already been established in. It's just MMOs in general.
I think
like,
just MMOs in general require too much time to keep up with. It's part of why I don't do a lot of games as service anymore, to be honest, because I find them really difficult to keep up with. I find smaller games like dating sims much more reasonable, which is what I was looking forward to playing. So on Valentine's Day, the day after Valentine's Day, the 15th, Saturday, go to my computer, go to Steam. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, gonna download Best Friend Forever, which is gonna be a dating sim with dogs. It's gonna be great. And I click on the thing, and it's like May 2020, and I was like, son of a bitch.
Delayed.
Didn't realize until I got there that it was delayed. So one day, I actually might stream that game because I think it's fun.
Yeah, you should.
Yes.
So
we gotta stream Boyfriend Dungeon too when it comes out.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Give me all the dating sims and video games, because dating in real life is no thank you.
Can be a pain.
It's brutal out there. I've heard.
But not when there's a dog involved.
I'm like, I'm married. I don't know what it's like, really.
I've often wondered about that. If I were to become single, I think I'd be so off my game. I think I'd just walk up to somebody like, hi, give him a weird face. He'd go running. That'd be it.
Please do it.
Please
I kind of want to
Talk
try
to
it.
everybody like that.
You're like, just take off your ring and just walk up to somebody. But honestly, can you please?
Yeah.
Can
At
I ask-
PAX, everybody I introduce you to, can you just be like,
No, PAX is not the place for that. Everybody knows who she is. They'll be like, we get it.
I'll just pretend like I'm a sloth for a day. Oh, you're right.
Like, they'll be like,
I was thinking I shouldn't do that. Maybe like potential lost business opportunities. And Steimer's like, nah, everyone knows that's Brittany.
everyone knows.
It won't
that's
have
what
the
you
effect.
do.
It
It
won't
won't.
have the effect.
We need to go to a random bar in LA when you're back here.
Yes!
Shove
Yeah.
you forth and be
we'll,
like,
we'll wing woman Steimer one night, but then Brittany will be like, hi, Brittany.
It'll be great.
I want this to happen.
I'll just
very
channel
badly.
my inner sloth that day. That'll be fine.
And on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining us this week. We're super excited to see everybody in Boston at PAX East 2020. But we will be back with a brand new show next week ahead of PAX East, which we're very excited about because Brittany has these 2 top secret games that she can't talk about this week that she can talk about next week. And then Steimer and I will be like, did you play something?
I did.
I think I played something.
I'm not gonna be on the show next week.
Oh no, Steimer's on vacay.
I'm at my parents' house.
Oh yeah, well, good for you.
Is that really a vacation?
You know what? Thoughts to ponder when you leave this weekend.
So it's just gonna be me and you gushing about the things. Oh, aren't you excited? Because you know what I'm gonna be talking about.
Oh yes, I feel like we maybe need to bring in a special guest to gush with you.
I mean, are you saying you can't handle my gushiness?
Of course I
Now
can.
I want gushers.
Listen, when you gush, I'm gonna make you listen to my newest obsessive mobile game I'm playing.
That's fine.
Yeah, buddy.
That's what you do.
Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you so much to Drew for being our special guest on the show this week with that fantastic interview about GameStop. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time. Have a great weekend, everybody. Goodbye.